exchange for certain safety guarantees.
We have come certainly a long way, at least rhetorically, with North Korea. It would be a great thing for the world. It would be a great thing for North Korea. It would be a great thing for the peninsula.
North Korea has a long history of broken promises on its nuclear program that now threatens the U.S. mainland. The president said he will deal with North Korea's nuclear program one way or another. Lisa?
Thanks, John. The U.S. has never had this many drug overdose deaths, and the CDC says the record death rate is being driven by opioids. Fox's Eben Brown has this live.
Lisa, opioid-caused deaths rose nearly 30% in a single year, according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention.
In 2016, there were more than 63,000 drug overdose deaths, and more than 42,000 of those deaths involved in opioids.
The CDC's Dr. Ann Schuchat. The data further show opioid overdoses in large American cities were up more than 50% over the same time, but that the Midwest saw a spike of 70%, and in Wisconsin, they more than doubled, Lisa.
Thanks, Eben. A Russian military cargo plane crashes near an airbase in Syria, killing all 39 Russian servicemen on board. The Russian military insisting the plane was not shot down. They're blaming that crash on a technical error. Fox News, fair and balanced.
Wildfires burn millions of acres across the country each year. And each year, wildland firefighters battle to contain them. But they can't do it alone. For some communities, it's not a question of if wildfires strike, but when. And a single ember can travel more than 1 mile. As it twists and turns and floats through the air, that single ember can find its way to where you live and can ignite and destroy your home or your community. That single ember can be just as dangerous as the wildfire itself. You can't control where the ember will land, but you can control what happens when it does. You can take action now to prepare your home and your community for wildfire. Get fire adapted. Learn what you can do now to reduce wildfire damage later at fireadapted.org. Prepare, protect, prevail. A public service message brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council. Learn more at fireadapted.org.
Parts of the Northeast bracing for a lot of snow, just days after a nor'easter that knocked out power to more than 2 million people in 13 states. Fox's Gernal Scott with this live.
Lisa, the storm expected to begin affecting the region tonight has prompted New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy to take action.
We are announcing a state of emergency statewide, effective at 8 p.m.
He says areas of his state still without power after last weekend will be of particular focus. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo has not taken that step yet, but is activating a hotline and the state of operation, or the State Operations Center, ahead of the storm. A National Weather Service storm warning spans from eastern Pennsylvania into New England through Thursday, Lisa.
Thanks, Gernal. They're saying that some areas could get more than a foot of snow. Amtrak already announcing modified service for tomorrow on its Northeast corridor between D.C. and Boston. Political analysts are closely watching today's primaries in Texas, the first voting leading up to the 2018 midterms. Democrats seem eager based on the early voting before today.
The number of Democratic early voters, well, it about doubled from 4 years ago, while GOP turnout rose 16-17%. Congressman Beto O'Rourke is letting that wind fill his sails. The Democrat frontrunner, who will likely challenge Ted Cruz for his U.S. Senate seat, has been gaining traction, largely through a widespread grassroots campaign crisscrossing Texas.
Fox's Casey Steele in Dallas. Senator Cruz, still favored to win in November, blames liberal opposition to President Trump for the Democrat surge. An hour to the close on Wall Street, the Dow's now down about 3 points. Stocks have been fluctuating between positive and negative. Right now, the S&P is higher. Lisa Brady, Fox News Radio.
Chili's has the seafood you crave, the flavors you love, at a great price with our 3 for Me Lent menu. For just $15, you can get a beverage, fresh salad, and a Lent-friendly entree. First, choose from a refreshing Coca-Cola, iced tea, or Heineken on draft. Then enjoy a fresh house salad right before you indulge in your choice of a mouth-watering entree, like our spicy shrimp tacos, savory Cajun pasta with shrimp, or our flavorful grilled ancho salmon. Chili's 3 for Me Lent menu for just $15. Available for a limited time. Chili's, more life happens here. For over 55 years, Community First has served our island as a full-service financial institution. And now, we're proud to introduce the new Community First Student-Run Credit Union, open in Manilao on Route 10, Guam's first student-run financial institution, which means it's operated by college students like us, ready to serve all our members, existing and new. We're just down the road from UOG and GCC. Community First Guam Federal Credit Union, now open in Manilao. This credit union is federally insured by NCUA.
This KFC chicken is great. Shrimp. Hey, who are you calling shrimp? KFC's new shrimp burger. It's great.
Howdy, folks. KFC's Colonel Sanders here. Try our new shrimp burger and all our seafood items available this season. KFC Food Kelequin, breaded shrimp, seafood salad, and of course, we can't forget your one and only favorite KFC original recipe chicken.
All right. I need to try KFC's new shrimp burger. Good, because you really are shrimp. Hey, a 5-7.
KFC, it's finger-licking good.
At Micronesia Renewable Energy, values matter. So all of their solar energy systems come with guarantees and the most value. No shortcuts, all quality. It's giving you that solar energy system at the best price. It's using highly efficient solar panels with typhoon-proven racking, built by highly skilled local technicians, so your system performs and saves you money. It's total peace of mind all the time. Not all solar companies are created equal. For experienced quality solar, it's MRE. Call 632-2613. MRE, the smarter choice.
Subway's got your fresh choices for Lent. Sink your teeth into the classic tuna or indulge in the mouth-watering greatness of our seafood sensation. Or try our tasty Veggie Max, a delicious vegetarian patty free of artificial colors and flavors. All our subs are served on freshly baked bread paired with vegetables, cut fresh daily in restaurants, and sauces that are sure to excite your taste buds. Visit any of our convenient locations today at Subway. Fresh is what we do.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. News time here at The Point is 8 minutes past 6 a.m. this Wednesday morning. I'm Kevin Kerrigan. Here's a look now at some of the top stories from the Guam Daily Post. Allegations of corruption and mismanagement were heard at an oversight hearing for the Guam Regional Transit Authority yesterday morning. Former board member Ginger Porter, GRTA riders, and Ray Tapazna, the man Governor Calvo assigned to assist GRTA some years ago, were among those who alleged irregularities in the bus operations contract between GRTA and Kloppenberg Enterprises. The hearing yesterday came just a week after the release of a critical audit report of the agency from the Office of Public Accountability. Tapazna said the OPA audit confirmed his suspicions that GRTA was being overbilled for paratransit services and that the contract with Kloppenberg violated Guam procurement law. Tapazna said he brought his concerns to the governor's chief of staff in January of 2016, but he was directed to resign. Brad Kloppenberg, vice president and director of operations at Kloppenberg Enterprises, challenged Tapazna's allegations, saying, "That's news to me." He denied overbilling and said that all payments were authorized by GRTA. For the second time in less than a week, Guam lawmakers rejected Governor Calvo's proposed 50% increase in the business privilege tax, voting 11-3 against it during a special session yesterday afternoon. Only Senators Tommy Morrison, Will Castro, and Luis Muñoz voted for the bill. The governor had proposed raising the BPT by 2 percentage points from 4% to 6% for just 1 year. During the course of yesterday's debate, Senator Morrison offered a compromise to lower it to just a 1 percentage point increase to 5%, but that too was rejected. The defeat of the governor's tax proposal followed a personal appeal from the governor and his fiscal team for action on any revenue bill in the wake of the credit watch warning from Standard & Poor's yesterday. During a news conference early yesterday afternoon, the governor said he would sign any tax bill brought before him. BBMR Director Lester Carlson said he hopes the public understands that the administration has already cut $30 million in spending from this fiscal year's budget, not enough to make up for the $67 million shortfall, however. We can't cut anymore, said Carlson. We need the help of the legislature. After the vote yesterday afternoon, Governor Calvo issued a release saying he was deeply disappointed with the failure of the legislature to pass a bill to address the fiscal crisis. We'll have more news after this.
How do you turn every day into cash back? With the Bank of Guam Visa credit card, cash back just got better. Get 1.5% cash back every month with every purchase. Every pick-me-up, every filler-up, every Sunday dinner, every four-wheel spinner. Whatever comes to mind, even every stroll in the sweet sunshine. Everything your heart desires turns into 1.5% cash back every month. The Bank of Guam Visa credit card, the everyday card. Apply today. Call, click, or visit. Terms and conditions apply. Bank of Guam, member FDIC.
When the power goes out on Guam, the little things can become surprisingly big. Small comforts are often the things we miss most during a power outage. That is why Kohler built the fastest responding generator sets in the industry. Whether you are at home or away, a residential Kohler generator will enable you and your family to live life without interruption. Kohler gas, LPG, and diesel power systems are available from Morico Equipment, LLC on Epal Road. Call 649-1946. That's 649-1946.
News time here at The Point is 11 minutes past 6 a.m. Lawmakers are hoping to get public input today on a measure that seeks to make reorganization of the government easier and two resolutions that seek to petition Congress for amendments to Guam's Organic Act. Senator Frank Uggan Jr.'s bill, known as the Government Priorities Act of 2018, seeks to establish education, health, and public safety as the top priorities of Gov Guam. The legislation also calling for the governor to reorganize the executive branch of the government and remove impediments to reorganization. Two resolutions also up for public comment this morning that seek to petition Congress to amend the Organic Act. The first seeks a provision that would require a percentage of tax collections into the Guam Income Tax Refund Efficient Payment Trust Fund for the payment of tax refunds. The other resolution seeks to include a provision in Guam law that would require voters to approve any government borrowing of $25 million or more. The Guam Industry Forum opens this morning at the Dusitani Convention Center down in Tumon, and plans for the Guam military buildup are the focus of attention for the more than 500 delegates who will be attending the three-day event. More than $8 billion will be spent on projects related to the relocation of about 5,000 Marines and their families to Guam from Okinawa in the years ahead. Speakers at the forum will talk about the construction and development opportunities associated with the buildup. The Guam chapter of the Society for American Military Engineers organized the event. John Robertson, president of the group, will open the forum this morning at 8:30, followed by representatives from the Japanese Ministry of Defense. Governor Calvo will then speak, followed by Joint Region Commander Rear Admiral Shoshana Chatfield. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post. Ray here with the weather.
Well, thanks very much. Partly cloudy skies today with isolated showers. Northeast winds 15 to 20 miles an hour, and daytime highs should be about 89 degrees. Tonight, there's partly cloudy skies and it may be on some showers again. Northeast winds to about 15 miles an hour, and overnight lows are expected to be a very cool 75 degrees. Sunrise this morning about 20 minutes from now. Sunset tonight at 6:30 p.m. And the synopsis on the weather: dry season weather pattern prevailing across the area through the forecast period. Very low moisture will persist through at least Sunday. Therefore, expect clear to partly cloudy skies, brief showers over that period. And now that we've said that we're not expecting any rain and it's going to be dry, it's probably going to be coming down in sheets later on today. That's the way that works. That's news and weather together here on The Point.
For more than 40 years, we've managed our island's most precious resource, your health. Take Care's benefit plans allow members access to more than 120 medical providers, 40 dental providers, and 18 pharmacies in the region. Take Care's health plans ensure members in Palau, Saipan, and Guam receive the care they deserve. Our programs and wellness classes have proven results for our valued members, and our commitment to your health never been stronger. Take Care, our island, your health plan.
This program is brought to you by King's Restaurant, serving Guam favorites to families for over 40 years. King's Restaurant, always open, always local.
Relax, enjoy, and be greeted by the spectacular view of Hagåtña Bay when you visit The Point at the Sheraton Laguna, Guam. Gaze into the beautiful sunset as you unwind to the music of Philip Garcia and Natasha on Wednesdays, Mama Shar and Nina on Thursdays, Philip Garcia and Louise Muña on Fridays, and Jack Larimer on Saturdays. Open daily from 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. Happy happy hour from 5 to 8 p.m. with all cocktail drinks for $7. Receive a discount when you present your SPG card. Call Peter Yaban at 646-2222 for reservations at The Point at the Sheraton Laguna Guam Resort.
Portions of the program here also brought to you by Security Title, making sure you actually own the property you thought you just bought.
KFC chicken is great, Shrimp. Hey, who are you calling Shrimp? KFC's new Shrimp Burger. It's great.
Howdy, folks. KFC's Colonel Sanders here. Try our new Shrimp Burger and all our seafood items available this season. KFC Food Kelequin, breaded shrimp, seafood salad, and of course, we can't forget your one and only favorite KFC original recipe chicken.
All right. I need to try KFC's new Shrimp Burger. Good, because you really are shrimp. Hey! A 5'7".
KFC, it's finger-licking good.
Yeah, he's 5'7", 6'15", brought to you by the program, the one you're listening to now, also brought to you by First Hawaiian Bank. It all starts with yes.
In illness and in wellness, Calvo's Select Care is health care that is there for you. That's why over 80% of the Guam medical community places their trust and insures with us. We offer our members wellness and fitness programs for a healthier lifestyle and provide a comprehensive medical network on and off island to help members from unexpected illnesses. Contact Calvo's Select Care today for more information.
The Ray Gibson Show. Morning talk that matters. Call now, 888-TALK. That's 888-8255.
Yes, let's go. Let's make it the show. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, the Ray Gibson Show on The Point. I would be the Ray, Mike side with the amazing and incredible Kevin Kerrigan. Morning, how you doing there?
Good morning.
Yeah. And Mike gets the phone when you call. 888-8255 is the telephone number. I need to get this out because it's right in front of me on the traffic gizmo, and everything looks kind of like it should for this time of day. Or is it a little busier than normal? I'm looking at traffic coming out of Jigo and into Dededo, and there's a couple of spots where traffic seems to be building a little bit earlier than normal. Also on Route 16 from about the intersection of Route 1 and Route 16 towards Malakuti's office. That's my landmark down there because that's where the dogs go. But towards that area, looks like there's a little bit of congestion, some backup of vehicles as well. Sometimes, I mean, it's just maybe just a bunch of cars that are standing around looking at the same thing, or a long light or something like that. But this one has been on my gizmo for a little bit, so I just thought I'd let you know about it in case you're going to hit the road early. And so as we get into what I like to refer to as the pre-ramble of the show. I didn't name that. Somebody years ago always said, because there's that time in the shows that I've done where we come out of the news and the weather, and it's not long enough to drag somebody on the phone and do an interview or something like that. But it's not short enough to play just a couple of features and then go in with the headline.
Yeah,
so,
the part of the show before it gets real.
Exactly. So this is kind of the part where I'm able to flesh out a little bit of where I think the program is going to go. And where I think where my brain is at on certain things. So first of all, yesterday the legislature, in a striking move, significant of the brain power that they've got down there, said "basta" again to the governor. No. On your new piece of legislation, the 245, which would have done everything that the first one did,
just about,
except it was a shorter time period,
1 year,
as opposed to 2 years.
And Senator Morrison even offered to lower that percentage point increase to just 1%, leaving that BPT at 5%. They said no to that too.
And so they move forward from there. So that bill is dead and gone. Next, who wants to toss in something now? The scuttlebutt from the people that I was talking to was there needs to be more, and I think they're as much as possible withstanding the withering cover fire, waiting for BJ to get back. And maybe there will be, and because I told you this yesterday, nothing going to happen at the legislature until BJ gets back. And so he had his birthday on Facebook yesterday, and everybody was happy about it. Today is what, the 7th? So he'll be back on, I think, the 15th. And then I think we can expect a few more feathers to fly over at the legislature. Now, it is possible that they could still move forward with something. After a series of public hearings that we'll get into in a second, it's possible that they could move forward on something, but I think it would need to come with it. You remember that back page of another piece of legislation the governor sent down where he outlined a bunch of cost-cutting measures and revenue enhancement opportunities? I think it would need to come with more splains on that. And maybe more actual statute before they are comfortable getting in. Remember, it's as BJ said, for every dollar in tax hikes that you ask for, I expect to see $1 in cuts. I expect to see that.
Wasn't that your proposal a couple weeks ago?
Well, I don't want to
take credit for that.
Too much credit. We're all thinking in parallel. It's harmony of interests. Sure. That's what it is. Yeah, right. And so a couple of program notes. First of all, I'm here. We had everything about set up for the industry forum, but we were looking at some of the names and the places in the program where we wanted to have some high talking speakers, and as it turns out, where I wanted them, they would be on the stage in the forum at the same time. So we decided maybe the second day of the forum is going to be better to bring some of those voices to you here in a live broadcast format. So tomorrow morning I will be at the industry forum. Later on, in fact, Kevin's going to be bailing early this morning so that he can go down there and catch some of the opening fun of the. I think they're doing fireworks and balloons and
a major event, but no fireworks.
No, well, yeah. But we don't know that yet. We don't know that. Hey, listen, if every once in a while it's you get into one of these things and somebody will come around and maybe make some kind of a headline. You said Madeline's going to be there, right?
She is.
MZB is going to be at the place, in addition to a number of other people. The Rear Admiral Shoshana Chatfield is going to be there. Governor Eddie Baza-Calvo is going to be there. The Honorable Congresswoman Madeline Zebradallo, as I said, is going to be in the house. John Robertson is talking. Masafumi Yamakawa and Kazuhiro Watanabe. These are folks from the Ministry of Defense and the Japanese side of the buildup, and it will be interesting to hear what their perspective is going to be on all of this. But getting into perspectives is, as I say, the program's got my name on it. Better tell you what I'm thinking about these days. I have read. And there is a very good story. Crystal Paco did a great story on KUAM News last night. She's still working there, right?
As far as I know, yep.
So she did a story in the KUAM News last night asking about the cops that were over at Agana Precinct. So where are they now?
DOC.
So they're over at the Department of Corrections, and they're doing Department of Corrections-y kind of stuff, right? So are they guards?
Saving overtime, but they're not.
They're what? No.
They're saving on overtime costs, helping the Department of Corrections reduce its overtime expenses.
By doing security guard, DOC guard kind of stuff, right?
I gather not.
What? I knew the answer to the question before I asked it, but she goes on. So the concerns, obviously, are for the safety of everybody at the Department of Corrections. So you got a bunch of cops there, Agana Precinct guys, old Mossback dudes, right? And so they are now in the same geographic area as people that they arrested that are now at the Department of Corrections. And guess what they don't let you carry if you're a policeman there? You don't get to carry your pistola when you're being the security guard guy there.
Well, that's a recipe for peace and love.
So, because somebody might take it and use it against you. So they said, tell you what, here's what we'll do. We'll take these police officers, and instead of having them do DEPCOR guarding the guys, we'll otherwise duty them to the visitor center, the intake hub, perimeter watch, and transport. We've got actual police officers now that are in the role of chauffeur. That's what they're doing. They're being chauffeurs
and tour guide.
They're clerks. They're clerking at the. Okay, so
Think of all the money they're saving, though.
In the overtime, I get it, but can we save it with the park ranger guys that we were sending out? Some of the other uniformed dudes I'm going to say aren't good enough to be cops, but I'm not going to say that. So let's send some of the other guys that we can say, okay, you go ahead and chauffeur these dudes. You go ahead and work at the intake center. You go ahead and be at the visitors. You go ahead and clerk, right? But for actual police officers, badges, men and women because we still have crime on this island. They still need guys in patrol cars going out there and working the streets and going into the village and working with the old ladies that are watching the neighborhood and trying to put down crime. With no business making actual police officers clerks at the Department of Corrections. We have no business making actual police officers chauffeurs at the Department of Corrections. If the object of the game is to save overtime, great, let's save overtime. But let's save it with guys, men and women, that frankly, if we took them off the streets, I don't know if anybody'd notice. But you take 30 police officers off the streets now?
Wow.
Really? Really? Where's the... I'm sorry. It never made any sense to me. But now after reading this story and hearing about a couple of other things, it makes even less sense to me. Police officers doing chauffeur work at the Department of Corrections, as opposed to, as I said, guys in a park ranger unit. The dog catchers. Let's make the dog catchers drive the clients. If you want to call them that, we'll have them do the driving around between there and the court, or there and the clinic, and all of that. 888-8255. Agree, disagree. Agree or disagree, but if you ask me, I think that might be one of the dumbest decisions to come out from, and this follows a whole bunch of other dumb decisions that we're hearing about these days as well. So there in my line of thinking is that. Going back to a couple of other things, there's some interesting stories that are coming out of, they finally got around to doing the Guam Regional Transit Authority hearing over at the legislature, and there are a number of people that watched that, heard what people had to say, and said, you know, maybe we need to get law enforcement involved here. You know, if they're not too busy running things at the visitor center over at the Department of Corrections, maybe we'll get some guys in here and have them do some kind of what's the investigation. See what they're working on over there, and whether or not any laws have been broken. Sounds like somebody came out and had some questions about things and brought them to the man, and the man said, "You're gonna have to quit. Thanks very much for coming. I appreciate the information that you've brought to me. Hey, you don't work here anymore." That's interesting. So tough to be a whistleblower in this town, I guess. You know, you can maybe get time in the afternoon and sit here at the radio station. And
there are laws that protect those people.
Blow on the whistles. Yeah, but it didn't sound like he wanted to invoke any of those. So there will be more on that conversation as well. So going back to the other legislative activities, so the bill goes up before the body, goes up for an up-down vote. A couple of interesting amendments in there. At least I thought they were kind of interesting. Is one of them would restore. It's funny the way they say it. Frank Uggin's measure, and I see Valerie on the chat here this morning, so I know that Valerie is listening to make sure that I mention that her boss Frank Uggin had a pretty good measure, an amendment that passed in the failed bill. I know, sounds funny, doesn't it? So you put an amendment in something and then you vote against the bill. I know, it just is. But it's practice, I think. Practice because later on, he's probably going to want to do the same thing. There's a conversation this morning or today at the legislature on his bill that would support a little bit of reorganization in the government of Guam.
That's right.
And
10:30 this morning.
And we will hear before the hearing. Actually, we'll hear from Senator Bob Klitsky, who he's actually got testimony. Imagine that. He's actually got testimony ready to go on this bill. But it's kind of confusing, Senator, so you might have to explain this to me. I testify in favor of this bill, but I'm not asking that Bill 247-34 pass. So he's testifying in favor, but he's not asking that it passes. So he's going to need to explain that to me a little bit. But going back to the legislature, as I said, so Frank Elgin has got an interesting piece of legislation that would have restored the pay rate for some of the governor's appointees and staff to what it was before. And it sounds like, when you say restored, it sounds like it's going up, right?
Roll back.
No, it is backwards. He wanted that to go backwards. But for those of you that are in that special club, don't worry. The amendment passed, but the bill failed. Now, what was Regine's amendment? Because she had an interesting one in there as well. Do you remember?
Yes. She proposed making the governor's office pay for the executive security rather than the police department. Executive security costs last year were the highest overtime expenses for the Guam Police Department.
That's right. 6
times greater than the overtime incurred at the Agana Precinct.
How much more than what they incurred at DEPCOR? Do we know?
I don't know.
Okay. So, well, you get this overtime problem. It was one of the first lessons that I learned when I got myself into some kind of a supervisory capacity. One of these, long time ago, they said, "Oh, you're pretty good on the radio, and maybe you got a career for this thing, and why don't you take some management classes?" And so we took some management classes at the shop. They used to have this thing on, what was it, Tuesday and Thursday mornings. You remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you had to do it too, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you go in and you take these little management classes. And one of the things I learned early on was that overtime is waste. Overtime is waste. And we run around here with this concept in the government of usual overtime. It is not unusual that there is overtime. It's almost scheduled. It's almost considered, I would say, a benefit in a lot of places.
It is, yeah. And it's mandatory in the news business, isn't it?
Well,
weekend special sessions, midnight calls.
You talk to Mindy about that, but and that's why we're salaried. Salaried is the news business equivalent of slavery. So yeah, but that's where the story is. And so if you want to get the story, that's how you do it. But I get it. There are going to be times where there are midnight sessions. There aren't always weekend sessions at the legislature. If that's the beat here, but it seems to me that the idea that we've got overtime that is built into the payroll structure in the government of Guam, we just got to get rid of that. We just got to learn the phrase overtime is waste. And so figure out how to get out from under that, and maybe that will help us save some millions and millions of dollars. Look at the time already, 6:32, and we got to jump into headlines. Kevin Kerrigan from the Guam Daily Post.
Hafaday and good morning, Guam. In the headlines from the Daily Post this morning, ratings agency Standard & Poor's placing Guam under credit watch with negative implications. And an analyst has voiced concern about Guam's ability to pay its debt, which may be impaired. The rating agency described GovGuam as being under a fiscal stress due to an estimated $67 million decrease in general fund revenue for fiscal year 2018 due to the effect of the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act passed by Congress in Washington in December. S&P Global Ratings credit analyst Paul Dyson said the decision to place Guam under credit watch reflects the government's disclosure that its cash flow will be extremely constrained over the next several months and perhaps even longer, and also reflects their view that the government's ability to meet its ongoing obligations may be impaired. There will be no tax assessment against the General Conference of Seventh-day Adventists after a nearly year-long legal battle with the Department of Revenue and Taxation. The parties have now reached an agreement. Rev and Tax had sued SDA for more than $700,000 worth of deficiencies in the organization's 2011 and 2012 income tax statements. The organization has agreed to transfer operations of the SDA clinic into a Guam corporation exempt from income taxes rather than as part of the church nonprofit. As a cost-cutting measure, the Guam Public Library System has announced that the closure of the Agana Library on Saturdays, that'll begin this weekend. The announcement did not indicate how much would be saved by the closure of the library on Saturdays. A release from the library indicates the measure was taken aside by the governor's initiative to cut costs at every agency throughout the government of Guam. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post.
That's a good idea, Kevin. iConnect time in the studios of the Point 634 iConnect. Longer for less. Sorry, that should be connect longer with less with iConnect's push-to-talk mobile and internet plans.
For more than 40 years, we've managed our island's most precious resource, your health. Take Care's benefit plans allow members access to more than 120 medical providers, 40 dental providers, and 18 pharmacies in the region. Take Care's health plans ensure members in Palau, Saipan, and Guam receive the care they deserve. Our programs and wellness classes have proven results for our valued members, and our commitment to your health never been stronger. Take Care. Our island, your health plan.
How do you turn every day into cash back? With the Bank of Guam Visa credit card, cash back just got better. Get 1.5% cash back every month with every purchase. Every pick-me-up, every filler-up, every Sunday dinner, every four-wheel spinner. Whatever comes to mind, even every stroll in the sweet sunshine. Everything your heart desires turns into 1.5% cash back every month. The Bank of Guam Visa credit card, the everyday card. Apply today. Call, click, or visit. Terms and conditions apply. Bank of Guam, member FDIC.
I know what you're thinking. It's too early for traffic, Ray. Don't worry about it. There's no cars on the road. Well, there are in some of the usual spots and even a couple of places where it doesn't normally busy up here. Coming out of Zotnia and Pago Bay area up to the intersection of 4 and 10, you might see a little bit of slowing down there. If you're still headed up on the road towards Sinahanya on Route 4, just before you get to Ordot, you might see a couple of places where things are slowing down a little bit. Traffic going from Marine Corps Drive towards Barragata Heights on Route 16, right up until you get to Malakuti's place. Looks like that's beginning to busy up. Out in Mangilao by the schools, starting to get busy. Also 8, 10, and 16. I'm not seeing congestion on the southbound side, but oddly enough, on the northbound side. So the traffic moving towards the intersection of 8, 10, and 16 is beginning to get a little bit slower. 6:36, that's right now traffic on the Point.
When the power goes out on Guam, the little things can become surprisingly big. Small comforts are often the things we miss most during a power outage. That is why Kohler built the fastest responding generator sets in the industry. Whether you are at home or away, a residential Kohler generator will enable you and your family to live life without interruption. Kohler gas, LPG, and diesel power systems are available from Morrico Equipment, LLC on Epal Road. Call 649-1946. That's 649-1946.
The Coconut Wireless is back. Morning talk that matters. The Ray Gibson Show.
Yeah, that's my dream here, is to take our little spot in Facebook with the live feed and the side chat that's going on. That's my goal, is to make it the next People from Guam. And those of you that remember, right, People from Guam, you remember that? That was about the same time everybody was doing a MySpace page. Great concept, and it turned into Facebook and WhatsApp, unfortunately. But that's the goal. A lot of people that are already tuned in early. Some of the usual suspects. Nice to see Jackie Diaz out there, and there's Melissa Akimoto again. Neil Weir has got the chat on and watching the program here this morning, and that makes me feel good, because it's like Sahara Defensor. He's one of the other smart people in the room. So if he's out there listening and following along, then it makes me feel good about the nature of the conversation. I see Bob Kelly is joining us. Hi, Debbie Wise, who is back on. Charlene Marchessault, former Senator Mike Lintiaco is in the group. It's either that or his wife Tracy is using the radio today. Good morning, Dave. Dr. Jay Ocampo is out there as well. Pleasure to have you along for the ride. And let's get the ride started here. As I said, a lot of stuff took place over at the legislature yesterday. Interesting amendments that were put on a bill that would eventually die, which means that I guess the next thing is we've got to make it through the public hearing process on the remainder of the other bills that are out there. And that starts today with a measure that was introduced by Senator Frank Uggan Jr., Bill 247-34. And if I recall the conversation with the senator correctly, it it has to do with the reorganization, or starting the conversation about reorganizing the government of Guam and taking some non-essential groups and kind of putting them together and see if there's a way that we might be able to net some savings with that. This morning, Bob Klitsky is joining me, and he sent me an early copy of his testimony today. And the first sentence here kind of baffles me. Senator says, "Today, I testify in favor of this bill, but I'm not asking that 247-34 passes." It got me scratching my head. Good morning.
Well, Ray, in order to make sense of the first sentence, you might want to have to look at the last sentence of the testimony, which refers to what I have denominated the Missouri maneuver, the Missouri maneuver.
The Missouri maneuver? Are you sure you're not saying misery?
Well, if you live in that state, some parts of the state it's Missouri, some parts it's Missouri, and I guess perhaps right now we're living in a state of Missouri, misery ourselves, right?
Misery. Yeah, our own daily VIX index out there. I didn't think that the situation could get any more dire, but I'm sure you were listening yesterday when Joanne Brown blurted out that Guam was under credit watch with the ratings agency on a couple of participations and bonds.
And it shouldn't surprise us. I mean, we're constantly doing or engaged in efforts to kind of lower our credit worthiness, and this is just the latest example.
Well, let's get to the testimony. What is it that you think you're going to be able to convince the body that you weren't able to do when you were there? Because I'm looking at this, and this isn't too far off from some of the things I heard you say when you were a sitting senator.
That's true. And in the 27th Guam legislature, I had a bill very similar to this one because that was the crisis of the day at the time. But the Democrats ran that legislature so tight that I couldn't have got a bill passed that would have expelled me from the body. Republicans couldn't move anything.
Mm-hmm.
By the time the 28th came along, things had improved a little bit. The GRT had gone back down to 4%, and the emergency was basically over. So, that was then, and this is now. Now we're in, I think, an even deeper crisis than we were in at that time, and I think this bill is very appropriate because it allows the governor to take steps necessary to reform, reorganize, restructure the government in such a way that we can avoid these kinds of problems in the future.
If it is the will of the governor.
If it is the will of the governor, but it puts the ball squarely in his court. And if this bill passes, then whether it's Governor Calvo, Governor Uggan, Governor Gutierrez, Governor Leon Guerrero, whoever it is, it really.
Hey, you didn't say Governor Rodriguez.
Oh yeah.
Don't forget.
Governor Rodriguez.
I don't want to be guilty of a crime of omission here.
There you go.
So, and that's important. But doesn't he have some of those reorganization powers today? There's, I'm looking at an executive order that came out the last time we had one of these big problems here, 2007-02, and number C says adaptive reorganization plans are currently being developed for agencies of the government of Guam to generate cost containment and/or reduction in operating costs. You suppose since 2007 we might have come up with something.
Well, you would have thought so, but there's an old Attorney General's opinion by Charles Trudman that I wasn't able to locate. Attorneys' general opinions nowadays are very difficult to get your hands on, but that the opinion was that although the Organic Act gives the governor the responsibility to reorganize, he has to do it within the confines of Guam law. So inside one of his departments, he has a certain amount of authority. He can't create a department. I would hold that he can't combine departments, et cetera. And because of all of the pandering that the legislature has done to government employees over the years, it's very difficult to give an employee a day off without pay. So this bill wipes the slate clean and allows the governor to enact a new set of rules as to how he can operate his executive branch, with the idea of setting out what's priority, what's not, and allowing the governor to move things up the list. So if there's something on Group 3 that ought to be combined with something in Group 1, he could do that.
Nothing would prevent him from doing it. But I appreciate in your testimony the caveat that if the legislature doesn't like it, it only takes 10 of them to undo something.
And they forget that. They're the most powerful branch of government by a long shot, because 10 of them can do just about anything they want. And the caveat actually is a way of providing them a little comfort, because one of the things that people are going to say is, gee, I don't know if I want to give the governor that much power. Well, if the governor uses his power in a way that is offensive to as few as 4 or 5 senators, they can pass a bill to undo what the governor did, and 10 of them can take it all away.
It shouldn't be all that tricky. You had mentioned in the conversation that we had yesterday, seemingly yesterday, I don't know, how often are we talking these days, that you could not find the chapter and verse where it's specified that we needed a long time for notices to go out, and why the furlough process was taking so long. So I went back to the procedures, Appendix H and Section K, that outlines it. And the first thing, Bob, is a written 90-day notice that a furlough is planned must be issued to all employees, whether or not identified for furlough in the department or agency. The notice must include the following information. I can go through all of that, but that's where it says written 90-day notice. Now, I presume that might be in statute somewhere.
Well, here's what I found, Ray. I went to that very same citation in the online edition of the Personnel Rules and Regulations for the Government of Guam, and instead of 90, it said 30. I also looked at an uncodified section from Public Law 27-5, which was the budget law back in the 27th, and that language said that it's 30 days from now on, and there was even language there that said that any rule, regulation, etc., is amended to read 30. So I saw that paper that was attached to the Attorney General's opinion, and what I said was either the Attorney General's opinion is wrong or what's online is wrong. And I tend to think that what's online is probably more current than what is attached to the Attorney General's opinion, but I'm not going to stake my reputation on it. Maybe the Attorney General knows something that I don't know, right. Or maybe they're just using an old hard copy that never got updated. I don't know.
I think we're going to find out eventually. Now, my understanding is that because of the failure of the measure yesterday, the governor will take the advice of the Attorney General and propose new legislation that would shorten the time required for all of these to take place.
If it needs to be shortened.
Well, yeah, as you say.
I'm still not satisfied that the Attorney General's opinion can be relied upon in the face of what ought to be the current state of the law. And the Attorney General has the same access to these things as everybody else. And if there's a conflict between what's on in the rules and regs that are online and what she's saying, she has a responsibility to say why the two don't read the same.
Okay. Well, we'll see if we can put some feet in the fire and find out if anybody did the homework, or did they just look up some of the old case files and say, okay, this is it. This must be the statute that we're talking about, and not necessarily find the ones that you were able to get your hands on.
Stranger things have happened, Ray.
Well, you know, it's the conversion, obviously, from an old paper system to the digital system. For heaven's sakes, we haven't scanned everything, you know?
That's true.
I did want to get your thoughts. Well, I'm playing the part of the younger curmudgeon. Maybe I thought I'd get the older curmudgeon to chime in on this. As I said, I'm looking at the story from Crystal Paco. I think PDN's got some coverage on it this morning as well. That says that the idea of closing the Agana precinct was to save overtime, but not GPD overtime. It was the Department of Corrections overtime. So we sent 33 guys with guns and badges to a place where they won't be able to use their guns, and they won't even be able to be Department of Corrections guards, prison guards, because they're would be mingling with the same guys that they put in there, and there could be some safety concerns, obviously, in both directions. So we're going to have these badges here, guys on the job that instead of being police officers are going to be chauffeurs and clerks at the visitor processing center, and a whole bunch of other, seems to me, positions that they are vastly overqualified for.
And they won't even be able to take their guns inside the prison because there are no guns allowed, even on corrections officers. But, Ray, we've seen this before. This is executive security writ large, where we take qualified police officers and turn them into chauffeurs and other similar tasks, when a trained police officer is a very precious resource and should be used almost always only for police work and not for chauffeuring work. Doesn't matter who he's chauffeuring around. But I agree with you 100%. To send the police officers out there to do corrections officers' work, not a good use of personnel.
There's other guys we can send. We're just talking about driving a van. Any of the people that work at the park office, conservation officers, Port Authority of Guam cops, airport cops can do that job.
Well,
they can do all of the things that we're sending 33 badges to do at the Department of Corrections can be done by these guys. So if this is the saving grace, if this is the salvation piece for the government of Guam, that we're closing down the Agana precinct to save some overtime money at the Department of Corrections, if this is the big deal, okay, fine, let's do that. But can we do it with guys that we don't necessarily need to have on the road? And replace them with the guys that we do need to have out on the roads, in the villages, watching out for criminals.
This kind of brings us back to Bill 247 this morning, because it's the kind of thinking that you and I are doing right now that ought to be involved in the organization or restructuring of the government of Guam, putting the workers where the work is, not where they just happen to be by accident. And this is a fine example.
Well, you say that the measure allows the governor to develop a governmental structure to replace the haphazard ad hoc government structure that metamorphosized after 1950, Over the years, the uncontrollable urge to pander to government employees erected so many roadblocks as to make reorganization impossible. Could we put together a group? Is it possible that there might be some? I mean, I don't want to sit on it. I'd just be the dumb guy sitting in the corner, taking notes, listening to the old guys talk. But it seems to me that maybe and I mentioned it to Simon yesterday. Maybe we need to have something like a CCU, like a blue ribbon panel, like a committee, because I don't know. That the guys that are there now, I mean, if that's the example of how much thought we're going to put into things like taking cops off the road, if that's the kind of thinking, then maybe we need to get some other guys in the game.
I think that's a good start, Ray, that the governor would pick a select group, give them a charter, and ask them to put together a comprehensive plan that could be implemented piecemeal, as we solve the easier problems, we put them in place and kind of do trial runs as we go along. So that I would say at the end of a year after this bill passed, we would have a functioning government that we could perhaps depend on to be an effective, efficient government operating within the rule of law that provides basic government services on a break-even basis, which to me is what our government should be.
We've had that. It's funny. I know you have that line committed to memory because it's something we hear over and over and over again. Listen, I'm gonna let you run and get yourself all prettied up for the hearing. Should be about what 10:30 this morning, Kev, for the hearing on this particular measure. But I'm still confused. You still have not explained to me yet this line. Today I testify in favor of this bill, but I'm not asking that 247-34 pass. I get the Missouri reference. Show me state.
Yeah, well, Frank Ogden and Senator Lee showed us a little bit yesterday. They showed us how they could cut costs. And if we're going to have a tax increase, I don't think I'm the only person who is going to say this. If we're going to have a tax increase, make it small, put a sunset on it, and show us that you're going to solve the problems, not just use this tax increase to get you by today and then forget all about everything else. So if the provisions of 247 were part of someone's idea about how to raise taxes, that would be, in my book, showing me. That would be the Missouri maneuver.
And so we'll watch and see if they take any of your advice and provide some of these show me amendments and doubtless the new legislation that will be coming out of the governor's office before too much longer. It wouldn't surprise me if there wasn't something out by 8 o'clock this morning.
They seem to have a pretty well-oiled. One thing that doesn't need to be reorganized is the machine that cranks out the notices for special sessions.
Yep, to-tink, to-tink, to-tink. It's the old lady with the mimeograph machine I remember from school. I think that's her job now. Just crank out notices. I got to run. I'll talk to you pretty soon.
Okay, Ray.
The amazing and incredible former Senator Bob Klitsky. You know, there's at no point does he need to even be in the game anymore, right? The guy's been around for a long time. He's
still in the game.
Plowed a bunch of fields, and he's still actively involved. The only thing that he doesn't have, if you think about it, guys, is an actual vote over at the legislature. And so maybe that's something that, I don't know, we try to convince him. I mean, I remember being unbelievably disappointed when I interviewed him and he told me that he wasn't going to be running for office anymore. It wasn't because he's older, he's tired or anything. He just says, I don't want to be a career politician. I don't want to jump into that. He's still, I think, holding out for a career as an underwear model. Keep working on it. Keep working on it. At some point, somebody's going to work on that and help you through all of that. Closing in on about 7 o'clock in the morning. Coming up in the next hour, we've been trying to get a hold of this guy for a couple of days. The healthcare leadership in this town. Remember, in the middle of everything, there is also the crisis that was before this crisis, which was over at GMH. So the healthcare leaders had a quarterly healthcare partnership meeting last week. Brings together guys from Guam Memorial, GRMC, Navy Hospital, 36 Med Group, from Anderson Air Force Base Group. And the goal of it is to find out, make sure that everybody can work together in times of disaster as well as share resources. So I was kind of curious as to what some of the ideas that they might have had that could.
You know, they've been doing that for years.
I recall. I remember when they first started doing that. I want to say it was as we were talking about hospital issues for sure, and then GRMC coming online, and I think a lot of guys just decided we really ought to get together every once in a while and share information and see if there's conversations about sharing resources as well.
They do, and they have been, for years.
Yeah,
sharing resources, doctors.
Yeah. Well, and so I wanted to see if I could get a couple of minutes with former Lieutenant Governor Mike Cruz in a little bit and see about some of the things that they talked about. Of course, it would not be a great interview opportunity if I missed the chance to ask him about any political aspirations that he might hold.
No comment.
I'm looking quizzically at my friend Kevin Kerrigan here, and the reason I'll tell you the reason why is because his name has come up. It has come up. There are some in the community that thought, the Democrats, they got 4 teams running against each other. Well, what's the story on the Republican side? You got Ray. And that's it, Ray and Ton, right? And there are people that say, hey, just for the sake of having an interesting primary, just to make it interesting.
Little competition.
A little bit of competition wouldn't hurt. Sure. Couldn't hurt. Mike, my recollection is that everybody liked Mike except Macris. And well-loved, respected, took that job over at GRMC, had a good time doing that, and still, kind of an emeritus guy. A lot of people appreciate Mike. And so the thinking was that make it like the battle of the lieutenant governors. So it'd be Ray and Tony versus, are you ready for this? Both of Felix Camacho's lieutenant governors, Kaleo and Mike. Wouldn't that be fun?
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I'll bet I get a no comment when I ask him. But I appreciate you giving me the time to flesh it out here on the radio. It's 7 o'clock in the morning, or darn close to it. Coming up, I got Fox News Live, and they'll tell you about everything that's going around on the nation and the world. Who else is coming up? Oh, Kevin Kerrigan is going to be on after that. He's been chopping away at some of the stories that we've been talking about, and we'll give you some new stuff to chew on as we get closer and closer to that. And we've got the Extra Point with Jerry Roberts and plenty more as the Ray Gibson Show continues on KUSG Agutnia. We are The Point.
He'd like to be optimistic. Lisa Brady, Fox News. President Trump's words after North Korea's latest move, offering to suspend its nuclear program for certain guarantees as it talks with South Korea.
The statements coming out of South Korea and North Korea have been very positive. That would be a great thing for the world. Great thing for the world. So we'll see how it all comes about.
Those comments earlier during an Oval Office meeting with Sweden's prime minister. Now they're holding a joint news conference. The president again defending his plan for new tariffs.
The fact is we've been mistreated as a country for many years, and it's just not going to happen any longer.
Adding that given the current trade gap, a trade war would not hurt the U.S. But there is bipartisan concern in Congress about a possible trade dispute. Fox's Jared Halpern is live on Capitol Hill.
More and more Republican leaders are expressing concern over President Trump's proposed steel and aluminum tariffs.
I think the best way to characterize where I am and where our members are is we are urging caution.
Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell sharing a similar sentiment as House Speaker Paul Ryan. Leading Democrats like the Senate Finance Committee's Ron Wyden says tariffs should be aimed at China.
We're going after Canada and Europe, but we're missing the real target here.
And President Trump has tied in part the need for a tariff to NAFTA negotiations. Lisa.
Thanks, Jared. Well, trade jitters have sparked some big swings in recent days on Wall Street, but today there's been more narrow swings, and at the closing bell, the Dow up 9 points to 24,883. The S&P and the Nasdaq also higher. A winter storm warning now stretches from Philadelphia all the way to Maine as a storm moving in from the west that's expected to become another nor'easter takes aim. Some areas could get over a foot. Fox News, fair and balanced.
Listen, my life changed because someone was there to get me to use drugs. No one can understand. Whether or not they've struggled with addiction themselves, people seem to think that having someone who will listen is going to help make it better. I'm realizing that I need help.
I'm listening.
I need help. I'm realizing that I think that having someone who will listen is going to help make it better. Whether or not they've struggled with addiction themselves, people seem to understand. No one can get me to use drugs. My life changed because someone was there to listen.
1 in 7 Americans will struggle with addiction during their lifetime. Want to know how you can help? Go to heretolisten.com for tips and tools to help turn addiction around. A public service announcement brought to you by the Ad Council.
Students ready to head back to school in West Virginia as state lawmakers make a deal to end a teacher strike. Fox's Jeff Manasso has this live.
Lisa, with unanimous votes, West Virginia's legislature raises teacher pay by 5% to end a 9-day teacher walkout.
We are making an investment to make education and to put education where, in my opinion, over and over it ought to be, and that is first.
Republican Governor Jim Justice says the 5% raise goes to all public employees, even state police, with budget cuts instead of a tax increase to pay for it. He's now also asking state school leaders to get students and staff across West Virginia's 55 counties back to class as quick as possible. Lisa.
Jeff, 2 national retail chains are defending their new age limits on gun purchases, now being challenged in court.
A 20-year-old man from Oregon is suing Dick's Sporting Goods and Walmart. Tyler Watson's filings say he tried to buy a .22 caliber rifle at a Dick's store on February 24th. Then he tried to buy a rifle at a Walmart on March 3rd in a different county. Both times he was told due to his age he wouldn't be allowed to buy. In the Dick's case, that was 4 days before the company said it would stop selling certain firearms to those under 21. Companies have been changing age limitations for gun purchases in response to the Parkland, Florida shooting.
Fox's Jessica Rosenthal. Oregon's age discrimination laws apply to anyone over 18. The strictest abortion limit in the country, a step closer to final approval.
The Mississippi Senate approving a bill to ban abortions after 15 weeks of pregnancy. The State House already passed the legislation, but the Senate amended the measure to remove possible criminal charges for physicians who perform abortions beyond 15 weeks. If the measure becomes law, the 15-week limit would be the earliest in the nation. Other states banned abortion after 20 weeks of pregnancy.
Fox's Steve Rappaport. The bill does allow for certain exceptions, for instance, if the mother has a medical emergency. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News Radio.
For more than 40 years, we've managed our island's most precious resource, your health. Take Care's benefit plans allow members access to more than 120 medical providers, 40 dental providers, and 18 pharmacies in the region. Take Care's health plans ensure members in Palau, Saipan, and Guam receive the care they deserve. Our programs and wellness classes have proven results for our valued members, and our commitment to your health never been stronger. Take Care, our island, your health plan.
Subway's got your fresh choices for Lent. Sink your teeth into the classic tuna or indulge in the mouth-watering greatness of our seafood sensation. Or try our tasty Veggie Max, a delicious vegetarian patty free of artificial colors and flavors. All our subs are served on freshly baked bread paired with vegetables, cut fresh daily in restaurants, and sauces that are sure to excite your taste buds. Visit any of our convenient locations today at Subway. Fresh is what we do.
How do you turn every day into cash back? With the Bank of Guam Visa credit card, cash back just got better. Get 1.5% cash back every month with every purchase. Every pick-me-up, every filler-up, every Sunday dinner, every four-wheel spinner. Whatever comes to mind, even every stroll in the sweet sunshine. Everything your heart desires turns into 1.5% cash back every month. The Bank of Guam Visa credit card, the everyday card. Apply today. Call, click, or visit. Terms and conditions apply. Bank of Guam, member FDIC.
At Micronesia Renewable Energy, values matter. So all of their solar energy systems come with guarantees and the most value. No shortcuts, all quality. It's giving you that solar energy system at the best price. It's using highly efficient solar panels with typhoon-proven racking, built by highly skilled local technicians, so your system performs and saves you money. It's total peace of mind all the time. Not all solar companies are created equal. For experienced quality solar, it's MRE. Call 632-2613. MRE, the smarter choice.
Special things only come around once a year, and it's time for fish fans to celebrate the return of Wendy's Cod Filet Sandwich. Wendy's uses the gold standard for fried fish, wild-caught Northern Pacific cod, breaded with panko crumbs to a light crisp. Add a new creamy dill tartar sauce and crisp pickles, and you've got the fish sandwich many say is the best of the bunch. Get yours today at Wendy's, located in Tamuning, Veragata, Agana, Dededo, and Naval Base. Wendy's Cod Filet. Now that's better.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. News time here at The Point is 8 minutes past 7 a.m. this Wednesday morning. I'm Kevin Kerrigan. Here's a look now at some of the top stories from the Guam Daily Post. Guam lawmakers yesterday again rejecting Governor Calvo's proposed 50% increase in the business privilege tax, voting 11-3 against it during a special session yesterday afternoon. The governor's bill would have raised the BPT by 2 percentage points from 4% to 6% for just 1 year. During the course of yesterday's debate, Senator Tommy Morrison offered an amendment to raise the tax just 1 percentage point to 5%. That, too, was rejected. 2 interesting amendments, however, were adopted to the bill before it was defeated. Senator Frank Uggan Jr. successfully proposed an amendment that would have rolled the salaries of all appointed officials back to the level they were at prior to the enactment of the Competitive Wage Act in 2014. Senator Tom Adda proposed adding elected officials, including the mayors, to that list, the rollback, but that didn't pass. Senator Regine Bisco-Lee also got her amendment over executive security costs passed. It would have required the cost of executive security for the governor and lieutenant governor to come out of the administration's budget and not the police department's. She cited the Agana precinct as an example where overtime costs in fiscal year 18 were only $58,000, while executive security for the governor and lieutenant governor was $367,000, 6 times more than the Agana precinct. Those amendments, however, died with the bill yesterday, the governor expressing deep disappointment in the legislature's failure to pass a bill to relieve the fiscal crisis. He accused Senator Lee and Senator Uggan of ignoring the magnitude of the fiscal crisis and focusing on petty micro amendments compared to the $67 million shortfall now facing the government of Guam. Yesterday, allegations of corruption and mismanagement were heard at an oversight hearing for the Guam Regional Transit Authority. The hearing came just a week after the release of a critical audit report of the agency from the Office of Public Accountability. Ray Tapasna, the man Governor Calvo assigned to assist GRTA some years ago, said that the OPA audit confirmed his suspicion that GRTA was being overbilled for paratransit services and that the contract with Kloppenberg violated Guam procurement law. However, Brad Kloppenberg, Vice President and Director of Operations at Kloppenberg Enterprises, denied overbilling and said that all payments were authorized by GRTA. More news after this.
Chili's has the seafood you crave, the flavors you love, at a great price with our 3 for Me Lent menu. For just $15, you can get a beverage, fresh salad, and a Lent-friendly entree. First, choose from a refreshing Coca-Cola, iced tea, or Heineken on draft. Then enjoy a fresh house salad right before you indulge in your choice of a mouth-watering entree, like our spicy shrimp tacos, savory Cajun pasta with shrimp, or our flavorful grilled ancho salmon. Chili's 3 for Me Lent menu for just $15. Available for a limited time. Chili's. More life happens here.
When the power goes out on Guam, the little things can become surprisingly big. Small comforts are often the things we miss most during a power outage. That is why Kohler built the fastest responding generator sets in the industry. Whether you are at home or away, a residential Kohler generator will enable you and your family to live life without interruption. Kohler gas, LPG, and diesel power systems are available from Morrico Equipment, LLC on EPAL Road. Call 649-1946. That's 649-1946.
News time at the point, 11 minutes past 7 a.m. GovGuam workers may see the plan for a reduced 32-hour work week implemented sooner than the 90-day required notice under the local government's personnel rules now. Governor Eddie Calvo, during a news conference yesterday, said he'd submit legislation reducing the notification process to just 30 days. During that news conference, the governor said GovGuam is facing the greatest fiscal crisis this island has ever seen. The proposed rollback of hours to 32 a week doesn't sit well with the commissioner on the board that oversees the Guam Power Authority and Guam Waterworks Authority. On the Ray Gibson show here on The Point yesterday, CCU Commissioner Simon Sanchez said GPA and GWA aren't under any fiscal stress, and he hopes the proposed furlough order from the governor does not lead to any legal disagreement, because at this time, the problems with the general fund are not with the utilities. He said forcing utility personnel to go through a 32-hour work week could compromise service, and none of the savings would go to the general fund, he said. In about an hour from now, the Guam Industry Forum will kick off at the Dusitani Convention Center down in Tumon, and plans for the Guam military buildup are the focus of attention there. It's a sold-out event. More than 500 delegates are attending the 3-day conference. More than $8 billion will be spent on projects in the years ahead related to the relocation of about 5,000 Marines and their families to Guam from Okinawa. Speakers at the forum will talk about the construction and development opportunities associated with the buildup. The Guam chapter of the Society for American Military Engineers organized the event. John Robertson, president of the group, will open the forum this morning at 8:30, followed by representatives from the Japanese Ministry of Defense. Congresswoman Madeline Bordallo will speak, along with Governor Calvo and Joint Region Commander Rear Admiral Shoshana Chatfield. For these stories and more, pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post. Ray with the weather.
Thanks, Kevin. Partly cloudy and isolated showers today. Northeast winds up to about 20 miles an hour. Daytime highs today should be 89 degrees. Overnight lows tonight about 75 degrees after sunset. That should be rolling around about 6:30 tonight. Dry season weather pattern prevailing across the area through the forecast period, and that is all there is that is noteworthy out there. I find this weather quite enjoyable, and I think it's going to be sticking around until late April, so you enjoy it as well. Doesn't look like there's going to be a whole lot of rain out there, but now that I've said it, it's probably going to start raining cats and dogs any second now. 7:14, that's news and weather together here on The Point.
Relax, enjoy, and be greeted by the spectacular view of Hagåtña Bay when you visit The Point at the Sheraton Laguna Guam. Gaze into the beautiful sunset as you unwind to the music of Philip Garcia and Natasha on Wednesdays, Mama Shar and Nina on Thursdays, Philip Garcia and Luis Muñoz on Fridays, and Jack Larimer on Saturdays. Open daily from 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. Happy hour from 5 to 8 p.m. with all cocktail drinks for $7. Receive a discount when you present your SPG card. Call Peter Yaban at 646-2222 for reservations at The Point at the Sheraton Laguna Guam Resort.
Portions of the program brought to you by King's Restaurant, serving Guam favorites to families for over 40 years. King's Restaurant's always open, always local.
How do you turn every day into cash back? With the Bank of Guam Visa credit card, cash back just got better. Get 1.5% cash back every month with every purchase. Every pick-me-up, every filler-up, every Sunday dinner, every four-wheel spinner. Whatever comes to mind, even every stroll in the sweet sunshine. Everything your heart desires turns into 1.5% cash back every month. The Bank of Guam Visa credit card, the everyday card. Apply today. Call, click, or visit. Terms and conditions apply. Bank of Guam. Member FDIC.
No.
The Ray Gibson Show, your new News Talk headquarters. Call now, 888-TALK. That's 888-8255.
Quarter after 7 o'clock in the morning. Okay, we got the news in, we got the weather in. Hold on a second. Let me just open up the thing and see. It's not time for the traffic report, but let me see if there's anything out there that you really need to know about right now. I don't see any long lines anywhere. Traffic is as busy as it normally is at 7:15 around the Estumbo area, around Chalin. Which one is that? What Chalin is that? Oh, Sengsong. That's Chalin. Watch out through there. Looks like there might be a little bit of action going from that side of Sengsong out to Route 3. And in 5 minutes, when it is time for the traffic report, I will tell you that all of those cars are at the intersection of Route 3 and Route 1. That's the way it works. So if you're not in line early, by 7:16, you might have blown your chance for the day. So just stay in, pour yourself another cup of coffee, and let's get to all of the good stuff. All right, time to take a look at what happened on the markets today. Last I heard from the lady over at Fox, everybody was looking good. All of the markets seemed to be rebounding happily. The Dow Jones Industrial Average up by a few points, not anywhere near 25. 24,884 is where the Dow Jones Industrial Average is leaving off today. NASDAQ will start the game tomorrow at 73.72, and the S&P 500 in the green by about 7 points to close at 27.28. Who's the big winner here? Yeah, the NASDAQ up by about 0.5%. So green is good. Not much worth writing home about there, but it's still, the numbers moving in the right direction. Same thing for the Nikkei, 370 points fatter to close at 21,417. And the exchange rate, 106.18 if you were going to be headed to Japan and wondering how much a beer is going to cost you from the vending machine. Do you figure it out based on that? 7:17 in the morning. And the other numbers I like to look at, West Texas crude, 62.48. Off a little bit, 66.44 if you're buying Tappas crude, and that is up by $1. Yay! No, don't go yay when Tappas crude goes up. We like Tappas crude to be moving backwards, and fortunately, we've been having a hard time doing that. Now, there's another piece of, I don't know, it's sort of economic news for those of you that refer to it as the entertainment business. And that is the movie Black Panther. I think my son has seen it twice, maybe 3 times.
Oh, it's in the theaters here already? I didn't know that. Oh, Hulu?
No, it's not
Netflix.
Not Hulu, Netflix yet. No, because they're gonna hold off on throwing that into the streaming over the what it is referred to as the over-the-top services. They're gonna hold off on that for as long as possible because, frankly, it's still making money in the theaters. It's still bringing some dough. Black Panther snagged $65.7 million in its third weekend of release, the third biggest third weekend of all time, behind only Avatar and Star Wars The Force Awakens, which made $90 million back in 2016. Globally, Black Panther has made almost $900 million.
Wow.
$900 million.
Closing on the billion mark.
Right. So how do we, the obvious question is, how do we get our share of $900 million? If there's that kind of entertainment money floating around, you know, maybe it's just a question of creativity. Maybe because I know that we've got the artists here. We've got the people that know how to use the technology that can make movies. And I think if we can make some movies, you know, it's when are we going to do that? The Max Havoc. When are we going to do the sequel to the Max Havoc movie?
Didn't they already make a sequel?
I don't know. Wasn't it 3 movies in one? I mean, didn't they shoot 3 different times to finally get Max Havoc out? At any rate, so I'm saying maybe that's a bad example or horrible warning, whichever way you want to do it. But there's somewhere we've got to figure out a way to get a character from Guam to become part of the Marvel universe. Yes, I have an idea. It'd be Captain Coconut. We'll do Captain Coconut and his Filipino sidekick, Balut Boy. What do you say? Can we do it? I mean, there's the basic idea of it. All you need to do is write the rest of the story, put in a couple of hot chicks, and I don't know, you can throw in some social justice stuff if you think you need to, and before you know it, bam, we could have somebody from Guam as part of the Marvel Universe and get our share of millions, almost $1 billion of revenue. So I'm just saying that the time is right for something like this. Captain Coconut and Balut Boy, if it works out for you, then remember that the idea came from me.
Call the Muñoz brothers.
20 after 7 o'clock in the morning. Well, didn't we put out a bill a few years ago that was supposed to regulate the movie industry? Or I want to say that there is something like that out there, but I think when they said regulate, I think people took that as kind of a disencouragement on it. Because we still don't have any feature films with Guam stuffs in it. You know, maybe a couple of things at the little shows they have at the theaters once a year, but not, you know, we're not talking Hollywood here. I think we need to talk Hollywood, guys. So where do we need to go now? Oh, I remember now. The Extra Point, ladies and gentlemen. Jerry Roberts is back on the radio.
How would you like to turn your boss into your mentor? I'm Jerry Roberts, and I'm going to show you how to do exactly that next on The Extra Point. This is one of those ideas that if you do it right, it could pay off in a major way. The dictionary defines mentor as an experienced and trusted advisor. What I'm going to give you now, I just want you to listen. You can download the transcript after we finish. You're going to place a note on the boss's desk saying something like this: Dear boss, I'm looking for an experienced and trusted advisor to help me raise my game, to improve my results in a big way. When it comes to experienced and trusted, the first person I think of is you. I need just a couple of minutes of your time to run an idea by you. How about 9:15 tomorrow morning? Does it sound just a little like you're sucking up to the boss? Okay, just a little. But Jerry, my boss would be a horrible mentor or would have no interest in it. Sorry if that's the case, but are you sure? Maybe it's worth a try to find out. Humor me here. There are 2 reasons to give this a go. Number 1, let's say he or she is a great source of knowledge about your field. Why let that knowledge just sit there? Tap into it. Number 2, you want a better relationship with your boss. If he or she is mentoring you, think that might juice up that relationship a little? You bet. At the meeting, explain that you want to ask questions and pick their brain. You think that will greatly accelerate your success. All you'll need is 15 to 20 minutes a week, or a lunch once a month. They share the knowledge, you buy the lunch. Any manager should at least be flattered and likely quite intrigued at the possibilities. People aren't asked to be a mentor every day. If they agree, set the first meeting. Bring a big old yellow pad with lots of questions. Write their answers down and make a plan to implement the good stuff you get. At the next meeting, come back with a report on how you use their ideas and strategies. That shows you are an action taker, and it gives the mentor a payoff for their time. Then ask more questions. Implement those too. Rinse and repeat. Mentoring programs don't have to be any more complicated than this. Keep track of your results and share them with the boss. As the old saying goes, this could be the start of something big. That's the Extra Point. Get out there and make something good happen today. For 93.3, I'm Jerry Roberts.
723, and I've got to say that I am blessed to have been among some of the people that Jerry Roberts has mentored in his life. Although the one thing that stands out in all of these mentoring sessions is that in his old office at KUAM, in the back offices, he used to have this picture of a Japanese girl in a swimsuit. It was back when it was still, it was politically correct. You could do that. It was a big jowl poster, and it was a really, really good-looking girl in a swimsuit. And so when Jerry got boring, I'd start watching that thing. The little things that stay in your head, right? 7:24 in the morning. That's the Extra Point. And as we do, take a look at the traffic. Remember, I was telling you that the traffic on the Route 3 side of Isangsong was starting to busy up. Well, it's still busy, but there is a whole new line of traffic now. As I said, that was making its way towards the intersection over at Guam Regional Medical City. And interestingly enough, a line of traffic that is leading away from GRMC. Traffic inbound on Marine Corps Drive is busy in all of the usual spaces and places. Going to start to get busy on Marine Corps Drive as you get closer and closer to St. John's. It's that one weird light that they've got there that, as far as I'm concerned, we need to do a little bit more with that intersection, because it seems to me that once you get past that light, it's smooth sailing down south for 100 miles. What is it about that light? And it isn't necessarily the school. Hospital Road looks like a little bit of congestion in front of the Onward and Shirley's area. And let me just check and see if things are building up in front of the Dusitani right now, seeing as how they're going to be opening up their ceremonies for the Industry Forum. Nope, still clear sailing through there. Good luck as you make your way around town this morning. News, weather, traffic, the Extra Point on the Point.
$7 meal from Circle K. Get your choice of 2 Nathan's all-beef hot dogs or a half-pound Nathan's all-beef footlong, a big wrap bag of chips, and any size Polar Pop. That's a giant deal of a meal, all for only $7. Circle K. Take it easy.
Security Title is honored to join in sponsoring Ray Gibson on The Point. Half a day. My name is Jesse Cruz from the village of Maina, and this is where I start my day, listening to the voices of our community and sharing thoughts about issues that affect all of us. It all boils down to our people and our land. Protehi Tanomo. Protect your land. When it comes to your family land, remember to call the professionals at Security Title, just like you call Ray Gibson in the morning.
At Micronesia Renewable Energy, values matter. So all of their solar energy systems come with guarantees and the most value. No shortcuts, all quality. It's giving you that solar energy system at the best price. It's using highly efficient solar panels with typhoon-proven racking, built by highly skilled local technicians, so your system performs and saves you money. It's total peace of mind all the time. Not all solar companies are created equal. For experienced quality solar, it's MRE. Call 632-2613. MRE, the smarter choice.
I got it. I found it. Let me see here. Say good morning to Regine Lee. Senator Lee's on the viewer thing, the video stream on Facebook. Good morning. And I see Joe there and Joanne Santos. Good morning. Jason Respicio is on the line. And that's all I need to see to remind me that tomorrow at IHOP, in the Tamuning location of IHOP, not the Tumon location, but at the Tamuning location of IHOP tomorrow from 7:30 until 9:30. It's coffee with a cup. Join your local Guam police officers for some coffee and casual conversation. Get to know your officers, ask questions, and voice your concerns about what's going on. You might want to ask them about, there seems to me there's another bigger, stronger, I think more produced effort to try to get a better grasp on neighborhood watches, which is cool. I recommend for you, though, if you're interested in doing a neighborhood watch, I would start with just the neighbors on either side of your house. Do this. Everybody has got WhatsApp now, and if you don't, everybody's got some kind of messaging software. But convince them to go on WhatsApp. Up in our neighborhood, we have got I swear it grows by 5 people every day. A neighborhood watch deal. And not everybody sleeps at the same time. Not everybody's home at the same time or away from the house at the same time. So it's great to know that even when you're at work or in the middle of the night, there's still somebody that's got eyes on the street. I'll give you an example. The other night, the WhatsApp went off in the neighborhood, and it was somebody from the street over from mine that said, there's a guy walking around with a flashlight peering into parked cars, and said which direction he was moving. And sure enough, wasn't that much longer that the guy was in my neighborhood. Of course, I was already asleep by then because I do this morning show at the radio station. So it's not like I was awake about 10:30 at night. But it reminded me that if there was a problem, I have video cameras that are trained on the house, that are trained on the neighborhood. So if you know somebody that was walking around the neighborhood in the middle of the night the other night, peering into locked vehicles with a flashlight, let them know that he is on several video feeds. And it wouldn't surprise me if those made their way to social media, because that's the other way that we're catching bad guys anymore, is getting pictures up on Facebook. I have no idea how legal that is. In some cases, I sit there and go, you know, if this doesn't ring true, that guy could have a heck of a defamation case working for him. But for the most part, they all seem to be going in the correct direction on that. So just saying, guys, WhatsApp with your neighbors, and then let them WhatsApp with the neighbors on their side of the street. And before you know it, you'll have 100 people all surveilling the place. And that way, if by any chance something does happen, you know that there might be somebody you can call that's got access to video cameras. 7:29 in the morning on the program, and coming up, as I said, Dr. Mike, former Lieutenant Governor Mike Cruz, going to be joining us for a quick conversation about the healthcare leaders and their quarterly healthcare partnership that is going on. Well, I've got a couple of minutes. A couple of other notes. The Guam Business Women's Network has a very interesting keynote speaker going to be coming out here in the next few days. Neil Nedley, a full-time practicing physician in internal medicine with emphasis in gastroenterology, mental health, lifestyle medicine, and the difficult-to-diagnose patients. Fibromyalgia. It's tough to track, guys. Maybe he's the fellow you need to talk to. Provided continuing medical education courses to physicians and health professionals around the world, and given numerous health education seminars to general public audiences worldwide. He is scheduled to be on this program in the next couple of days. But if you miss it on the radio, make plans to be at the Gallery at the Hilton Resort and Spa on Friday, March the 16th for all of this. If you're a member of the Chamber, it's $25. If not, it's $35. And if you want information, then send it to info@guamchamber.com.gu, and they'll get the rest of it for you. 7:30 in the morning. You ready for headlines? Me too. It's Kevin Kerrigan from the Guam Daily Post.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. It is 31 minutes past 7 a.m. Here's a look at some of the headlines from the Daily Post this morning. For the second time in less than a week, Guam lawmakers have rejected Governor Calvo's proposed 50% increase in the business privilege tax, voting 11-3 against it during a special session yesterday afternoon. Two interesting budget-cutting amendments, however, were adopted to the bill before it was defeated. Senator Frank Uggan Jr. successfully proposing an amendment that would have rolled the salaries of all appointed officials back to the level they were at prior to the enactment of the Competitive Wage Act in 2014. Senator Atta proposed adding elected officials, including the mayors, to that list, but that didn't pass. Senator Regine Bisco-Lee, however, got her amendment over executive security costs passed. It would have required the cost of executive security for the governor and lieutenant governor to come out of the administration's budget and not the police department's. The bill, however, was defeated. After the vote, Governor Calvo said he was deeply disappointed with the failure of the legislature to pass a bill to address the fiscal crisis. He accused Senator Lee and Senator Uggan of ignoring the magnitude of the crisis and focusing on petty amendments and micro cuts compared to the $67 million shortfall now facing the government of Guam. Meanwhile, Governor Calvo at a news conference yesterday said he plans on introducing a bill to shorten the 90-day notice time now required for a furlough notice. There's already a pending 32-hour work week furlough notice issued this week by the governor. He wants to implement that sooner than the 3 months given the current fiscal crisis. At a news conference yesterday, he said he'd submit legislation reducing the notification process to just 30 days, saying GovGuam is facing the greatest fiscal crisis the island has ever seen. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post.
Special things only come around once a year, and it's time for fish fans to celebrate the return of Wendy's Cod Filet Sandwich. Wendy's uses the gold standard for fried fish, wild-caught Northern Pacific cod, breaded with panko crumbs to a light crisp. Add a new creamy dill tartar sauce and crisp pickles, and you've got the fish sandwich many say is the best of the bunch. Get yours today at Wendy's, located in Tamuning, Barragata, Agana, Dededo, and Naval Base. Wendy's Cod Filet. Now that's better.
Family Finance has been serving the people of Guam since 1959, and they'll continue to be there for you in the years to come. Whether you're looking to get a personal loan for that summer vacation or paying off those long overdue bills, Family Finance has got you covered. Apply for a personal loan from $1,000 up to $3,500 by calling Family Finance in Hagåtña at 475-4545, Upper Tuon 647-5626, or in Dededo 633-4473. Family Finance has been serving the people of Guam since 1959.
Is it another look at traffic? Yeah, just real quick. A warning here is apparently Dr. Mike Cruz is on the road. That's the traffic report.
That's it. That's a wrap.
I'm just playing around. Yeah, I was telling you that you need to keep an eye on what's happening in Tumon, and sure enough, as we get closer and closer to the launch of the big Guam Industry Forum, things are getting a little bit busy in both directions in that end of Tumon. Of course, if you're headed up Santos Hill, that's the one that starts at the west end at the bottom and ends up at Marine Corps Drive. There's always a little bit of a slowdown for traffic trying to get up the hill and then turning southbound. Is it time to get really ugly over at Route 3? Not quite. But the other side of the street, over by the Weddingale Rugby Field and the new flea market, looks like there's a little bit of traffic trying to get out of there. Anything else that I need to warn you about this morning? No, that's it. That's a look at traffic. Right now, traffic on The Point.
For over 55 years, Community First has served our island as a full-service financial institution. And now, we're proud to introduce the new Community First Student-Run Credit Union, open in Manilao on Route 10, Guam's first student-run financial institution, which means it's operated by college students like us, ready to serve all our members, existing and new. We're just down the road from UOG and GCC. Community First Guam Federal Credit Union, now open in Manilao. This credit union is federally insured by NCUA.
We have those moments in our lives that happen unpredictably. The unexpected instances that we did not really need. Now you can count on us to stay well, Papa to live well, Papa to stay well, making sure you stay well. Oh, I'll lift you up when times are low. I'll see how far we'll go, and stay well.
Stay Well Insurance. See how far we'll go.
I'll get there. I'm looking over a couple of things in front of me and looking to see if there's some interesting chat going on in the group. Mostly it's just a bunch of old friends that are saying hello to each other, as near as I can tell. And that's okay. That's all right. You get into some of the other stuff. Rebecca Salazar likes my idea about the Captain Coconut and his little Filipino sidekick, Balut Boy. She kind of thought that was a good idea.
Sounds like a hit.
Well, just give it a shot. You know, it couldn't be any worse than some of the other ideas that are floating around. It could save us the time, trouble, and expense of increasing our gross receipts taxes by 50% out there. Who knows what's going to happen if that comes true? But there are people thinking about it. Dr. Tom Shea this morning, and he must have wanted me to read this on the air because he tagged me on his post. Dear Honorable Senators and Governor, what does increasing the BPT or GRT by 50% mean to a private health clinic? Well, it means we'll be losing 2 staff nurses in the clinic. Vice versa, we can't hire 2 additional staff members to provide care to patient, or it prohibits us from purchasing additional technology and the technological advances that will benefit patients. This is a real consequence affecting private health clinics when GovGuam simply makes those who are already paying to pay more. If GovGuam decides to increase our taxes, we'll need to somehow adapt by increasing costs or stopping all the free ultrasounds that they do. With that incredible 4D ultrasound system. Man, I love that tech. Charity care and adding a service fee. It's the only way we can continue to keep up with providing quality care and combat the increasing cost of supplies and overhead. Now, you got me there, Doc. You got me there, but I think we're always going to have to agree to disagree on the subject of qualifying certificates. I just am of the sense that there will always be some kind of a need for us to be attractive to businesses and industries, and in some cases, even when we've already got some. It's always good to get more. So I understand the thinking. We talked with Jay Rojas yesterday, and the subject of a qualifying certificate for CORTEC came up. And CORTEC wants to do some of their own captive stuff. Totally legal. Lots of companies are doing that. I want to say of the 19 or so qualifying certificates that we've got out there, I think that's still the number. A good number of them are captive insurance companies or insurance companies that also have captive business. So it's out there. But the governor recently said that because of the difficult economic times we find ourselves in right now, that he is not going to be renewing any of these qualifying certificates as we move forward. And word came out yesterday that this CORTEC thing, Jay Rojas originally said it, but I think Eddie confirmed it later on, Governor Eddie, when he said, no, it's we're not going to be signing off on that or any other qualifying certificates right now. It's just we can't do that. We can't do that. So as I say, I get it, but there's lousy optics on either side. You know, there's one side where that's what they do at GITA, Guam Economic Development, and it is one of the tools that we have out there to be able to provide opportunities for businesses to consider us more than they will consider someplace else, because we can do this qualifying certificate, because we can make it so that in a few years they are part of the community. They're providing funds to different charities. They're hiring lots of people. That's the big goal, is to hire as many people as you possibly can based on those offsets that you are going to be getting. So there's that, and I've always think that QCs are just kind of our way of saying, hey, we're open for business. And so when we say we're not doing QCs anymore, I worry about what that message gets sent out to anybody in the business community that might be looking at Guam. And there's a lot of reasons. There's people in the industry that might be looking at Guam. Hey, build up. It's happening. They're having a whole industry forum over at the Dusitani in the next couple of days. So I think there is some of that needs to be considered. There is also this rebating that Mike Cruz was talking about, and even though the United States is not necessarily going to be a part of the what was it, the Pacific, what was that group? Trump got us out from under it.
Trans-Pacific Partnership.
There you go. Thanks. That's why you're here. So you do something like that, then it seems to me that maybe there are opportunities for American businesses that still want to nearshore to places where the Trans-Pacific Partnership is going to be working. 7:41 in the morning. My god brother Mike Israel is on the line. Good morning, Mike.
Hi, Ray.
How you doing?
Pretty good. Beautiful day on Guam.
As all of them are. It doesn't matter what else happens. You can at least count on a decent day, pretty sunset at night, and gorgeous sunrises, right?
That's right.
Okay.
That's why Guam is good.
And this is the part where you're going to call up and disagree with me on the QCs, right?
Yep,
I thought so. It said the acorn, the coconut doesn't fall far from the tree. Mike's dad, Al, didn't like the qualifying certificates either. Okay, well, go ahead and take me apart.
Well, because government is the worst arbitrator of who is going to be successful and who is not. And when you give a QC to one business, you're imposing a burden on the others. I am in a competitive industry. We're the second largest hotel group on the island, and we're competing against people who hold QCs because they're from off-island.
Why can you not apply for a qualifying certificate?
Well, again, you said it right. These other companies that are not from Guam, they have the choice of sort of blackmailing or negotiating or strong-arming the government to giving them a benefit as a condition for them to bless us with their presence. They're coming here because they see an economic opportunity and they don't need a QC. That's just a sweetener on the cake, especially when it comes in the tourist industry where we have a pretty well-established tourism industry. And it requires, again, the government to pick and choose. The other problem is there's sometimes unequal enforcement. If you actually try to, if you look at the QC, they come with many, many conditions. I remember we reviewed the QC for some of our hotels, and they wanted the right to bless our organizational chart, determine the salaries of our employees. Now, I'm sure they never actually enforce it, but then again, you have to wonder when you're kind of one of the local population, and you might not be on the favorite side of that then current administration. Suddenly, they might start enforcing it. I've been involved in a number of companies that we've had QCs, and frankly, they just haven't been worth the hassle and the headaches of compliance sometimes.
There is that. I'm familiar with a couple of companies. In fact, they came up in a hearing, an oversight hearing at the legislature not that long ago, where there were people that said exactly as you said. It wasn't worth all of the hoops that I need to jump through in order to achieve these tax abatements that are promised in these qualifying certificates. However, as I said, there's nothing that would prevent you. I mean, if it's a question of staying on a level playing field, there's nothing that would prevent you from getting a qualifying certificate. In fact, as you said, you've reviewed the options.
Reviewed the options.
So it can't be all that bad.
Yeah. No, the problem is that when you create QCs, you create uneven playing fields. Guam should just have consistent, low taxation and a friendly business environment. Period. That's what's going to attract the businesses.
Well, you recognize, of course, that philosophy runs counter to other places where they are offering qualifying certificates or some kind of tax abatement in order to make themselves more business friendly. And so if it came down to it, don't you think that as a negotiating tool, if you will, it's nice to have it at your disposal?
If Guam is a friendly business environment, they're going to come regardless of what special benefits you try to sell them. It's sort of like the old thing where they have companies that they put a high price, but they'll say, but for you, I'll give you a discount.
Yeah.
Just have a level playing field. And it upsets me every month and every year when I write off tens of millions of dollars in taxes to the government, knowing that some of my competitors don't have that same expense.
Are they not also, though, required as part of their qualifying certificate programs to live up to hiring requirements, number of employees that they have to have, and in lieu of taxes, isn't there a requirement to make a certain percentage of their donations, of their profits donations to different community groups?
Well, see, that's what I was bringing up earlier, is when you give the government the power to have these special tools in their arsenal, what happens is sometimes they're enforced arbitrarily. And like I said, everybody seems to have geez, looking at Japanese or Korean investors come to Guam, let's roll out the red carpet. But when it's a local company, it's sort of like, they're here, we can enforce as much as we want.
Yeah.
Especially if they have a loudmouth son who talks too much on the radio.
Gee, I wonder who you're talking about.
Loudmouth dad. A loudmouth dad who talks too much on the radio.
Well, it's always a fun conversation, but until just recently, the law of the land, it looks like it's been suspended. Looks like we've got some moratoriums in place on some of the renewals. But I got to tell you, in terms of a level playing field, I will tell you about something I recently found out about with the insurance companies. There's at least one insurance company that had a qualifying certificate. Did they have one? I'm trying to think if they had one or not. The way the story was told to me, had one. Don't have it anymore, but all of the other insurance companies that they compete against do have it. So now they find themselves in this weird limbo where the playing field would, except for this, be level.
Right. Well, that's what I'm trying to say is instead of granting specific rights to specific companies, just make it blatant. Say, if you're a captive insurance company, bang. I mean, captive insurance companies can be made anywhere. So it's just paperwork. And if the paperwork is on Guam or in, I don't know, the Virgin Islands or something where they might have zero taxes, we can do that. But instead of doing it through the QC process, just make it a permanent. In other words, let's suppose, for instance, hotels. One of the big benefits of the hotels is an abatement of the property tax.
Right.
Well, fine. If you're a hotel, all hotels get the same thing. I mean, I'm not saying that's a good idea, but I'm saying is whatever QCs, instead of doing it on a company by company basis, if you want to make Guam known to be a friendly place to invest, say for hotels or for one of the other benefited industries, then what it should be is just
across the board. Just make it across the board by industry. So all hotels get this benefit, all insurance companies get this benefit, all radio stations get this benefit. Hey, I got to go. I'll see you at the Deuce, okay? All right, buddy. As my godbrother, Mike Israel, and as I said, coconut doesn't fall far from the tree. That was also an issue that his old man had with qualifying certificates once upon a time. Interesting. Well, let me start with that with my next guest on the phone, Dr. Mike Cruz. Good morning, Doc.
Hey, the traffic southbound at JFK intersection is pretty heavy going south.
So, yeah, this is the equivalent of saying, "Hey, Michelangelo, great job on the ceiling. Can you paint my kitchen?" I've got a doctor giving me a traffic report. Well, I'm glad that your eyes are on and out there. Just real quick, what do you think about the comments made by Dr. Shea this morning that I read a little bit of? I know you were listening, and comments that were made by Mike Israel. Is there something to maybe taking a good hard look at qualifying certificates and maybe doing away with them in favor of just block agreements that hotels and insurance companies and doctors' clinics get these benefits?
Well, I didn't hear Dr. Shea's comments. I heard a tiny little bit of Michael Israel's comments at the end. I think the qualifying certificates are important to communities, and I think that they seem to make sense, right? And so I can tell you that I certainly, as one of the physicians back 4 or 5 years ago, was not necessarily for the full QC that the new hospital got. But having realized that the people of Guam gave this sort of a gift to the investors and had a contract with the investors, it was then that I realized, this is time for us to get involved, because this will be a community hospital. This is going to be a hospital here in Guam. And if we were going to be a part of making sure that healthcare as a whole moves forward, then we as local community physicians need to be a part of that process, a little part of that startup, a little part of the culture of quality and safety that the new hospital needed to start with.
And to the degree that they've been able to use that, I know that my conversations with Margaret Bengzon, when it looked like there was going to be some walking backwards of the qualifying certificate, she said, it won't kill us. It just makes it harder for us to grow and do other things. And I'm delighted to hear that they continue to move forward at GRMC with plans for growth and development there and providing other services to the community.
Yeah, but with the challenges and obviously the difficulties that any startup would have, and especially in a very complex sector or industry of healthcare. I mean, healthcare is as complicated a business industry or sector as there is anywhere.
Yeah.
And so, and then when you come with a parent that is from the Philippines and come into an American environment or American healthcare environment, and then even worse, an environment of a local small community with the lack of resources, the lack of specialists, and an established health and medical community on Guam, then you can see that the fact that the GRMC continues to exist is something that is amazing sometimes when you think about it.
Well, having been a part of the conversation about GRMC, and this is the disclosure, I'm a fan. I was in the original steering meetings to talk about the things that the community could use and some of the things that we'd like to see in a new private hospital. And I was delighted when we got word that somebody was interested in being able to take the vision of that group and actually build it out in Harmon. I think it's been to the benefit of the community. We are still not without our challenges in the healthcare industry here on Guam, and so I'm really glad. I wanted to make sure that we had an opportunity to talk about the get-together among yourself and the other healthcare leaders here.
Yeah, the bottom line is that both GMH and GRMC and frankly even Navy Hospital, we exist on Guam. We share the same patients essentially, and we need each other. There's no way that GRMC could survive without GMH and GMH vice versa. The number of beds needed is woefully low compared to what's the industry standard globally for the number of population we have here. And so we need each other. We need to both work together in a collaborative way. And to the extent that we're able to do things at GRMC and maybe GMH can do things that are better or more efficient, then we need to pursue those particular avenues and processes and we do work together collaboratively.
Give me an idea of some of that collaboration. I know there was a story that MEMA did at PNC where they were talking about a kid who could not be safely airlifted, so they opened the doors over at GMH or GRMC, and the doctors there were able to perform the procedures.
Yeah, you know what, Ray, we have a tri-hospital meeting, the tri-hospital being Navy Hospital, GMH, and GRMC on a quarterly basis. And it's here where the three CEOs and leadership gets together and talk about, again, what can we do together, what are the challenges that we need to discuss and work together on, and how can we improve our communication with each other, how can we improve this sort of seamless care that patients need to have. And that's exactly what happened with that. There was a 10-year-old who needed surgery, and the surgeons at Navy Hospital, this was a complicated case, and they, through the last meeting we had with them back in January, we had told them that if there was, in the event that there's a needed pediatric surgery, we certainly could do that in the local community through Dr. Ricky Sabia, who's a very experienced surgeon and tends to like to do pediatric surgery. And most of us general surgeons, because I am too, as you know, we get somewhat intimidated having to work on a baby that you have to put microscopes on your glasses on to be able to see. And so they were able to get a hold of Dr. Sabia. They transferred the patient over, and the good thing is that the patient has gone home and has done well and was happy as he left. And so it was that kind of collaboration that we do well. I mean, we can do well. And it's a sharing of scarce resources that a community like ours, being our sort of geographic isolation that we have from the mainland or even Asia, it's important that these resources between the three different hospitals are shared. And it's important that we work together because, again, our patients is one community, and we need to do that.
I cannot disagree with that, and I wanted to give you guys some pointers and let the community know that there is that kind of conversation because, unfortunately, we have that crab pot mentality around here, and there are people that would love to be able to pit one against the other. But when it comes down to the doctors, when it comes down to healthcare, nothing could be further from the truth. Everybody is working together, as I like to say, pulling on the same rope. There are no empty hands in the medical community. Any thoughts on the crisis that we're in right now was preceded by another crisis over at Guam Memorial Hospital, and my recollection was that at the time you were supporting the conversation of an increase in the BPT to provide a permanent funding source for GMH. Is that still the case after learning more of the horns of the crisis in this new dilemma?
Ray, I agree that there's a need to have a dedicated funding source for GMH. This has been a long time problem. We need to stop thinking about that we need to subsidize GMH. This is payment for services rendered and a mandate of unfunded care that GMH has had to deal with over multiple decades. And so wherever we can get the funding source to get that done is where we need to do it. And I agree with the governor that this is something that needs to be done. Now, as we roll that into a larger problem of a shortfall in cash and revenues because of the Trump tax plan, that I'll leave. I'm not a politician, Ray, and so I'll leave that to the politicians to sort of argue and debate and figure out. But I think that it is important, as the governor has stated, that GMH gets a dedicated funding source, and it's part of the first thing that needs to be done as GMH goes through the process of the improvement that needs to take place and to try to regain the Joint Commission accreditation that it's possibly going to lose here in a little bit.
It sure looks like that. 7:57. So the point about not being a politician here kind of subverts my intentions to ask you the question. If anybody's asked you if you're interested in running for office, you're well known, loved, enjoyed in the Republican community, and some people say that Ray shouldn't be out running on his own. Maybe there needs to be another team. You and Kaleo, the two Camacho administration lieutenant governors, would make a fine team to provide some competition in the party, if for no other reason to make it more interesting for guys like me.
I tell you, there's many ways of doing good. There's many ways of serving our community, and I think I've done that through both the military and certainly the government. And my place that God wants me to be is to help with the health care and the moving forward of health care for our community.
All right, keep at it, but I'm sure it must be somewhat flattering from time to time to hear that there are people that think that you might have the skills necessary to be among those considered to guide us out of the mess that we're in and into some new messes, if you will.
Yes, I appreciate that, but all I have to do is remember the 2 years that I was in the legislature, and I'm thankful there are those that want to do that, but it's certainly not what I want to do.
I appreciate the history lesson, and I appreciate everything that you're doing in the community. I'll see you pretty soon, Doc.
Thanks, man.
All right, buddy. It's 7 o'clock. No, 8 o'clock. It's going to be 8 o'clock in the morning here in just a few seconds. Former Lieutenant Governor Mike Cruz, Dr. Mike Cruz, former Senator Dr. Mike Cruz, and now just guy is auditioning for the job of traffic reporter on the radio station. Sorry, we do it differently around here. Try to make it fast. As I said, 8 a.m., and we are KUSG again. You're coming up next. I've got a look at Fox News, find out what's happening around the nation and the world. Kevin Kerrigan with our last look at news this morning from the Guam Daily Post. After that, his real-life job is going to take him to the industry forum over at the Dusitani, and I know they're sold out, but there might be some lurker privileges laying around for you there. It's, as I said, 8 o'clock in the morning. News is next.
Live from New York, the Fox Report.
And Lisa Brady. The president's plan for new tariffs still causing quite a buzz in Washington. It was the first question at an event with a visiting world leader a short time ago. Fox's John Decker is live at the White House.
President Trump defended his planned imposition of stiff tariffs on imported steel and aluminum and downplayed the possibility of a trade war breaking out with other countries around the world.
Well, we'll have to see. You know, when we're behind on every single country, trade wars aren't so bad.
During a joint press conference, Sweden's prime minister agreed there's a problem with steel being dumped in the U.S. at lower prices, but urged the president to take a different approach. The European Union is preparing punitive tariffs on U.S. goods, including motorcycles, jeans, and bourbon whiskey, if the president follows through on his tariff threat. Lisa?
And John, the president's still getting some pushback from fellow Republicans. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell.
I think the best way to characterize where I am and where our members are is we are urging caution.
Warning against letting trade issues develop into something that could affect the economy. North Korea's offer to suspend its nuclear program getting a cautious reaction from the president.
I think maybe this has gone further than anyone's taken it before. Nobody's been in the position. This should have been handled long ago. This should have been handled over many years by many different administrations.
Pyongyang says certain conditions would have to be met during talks with South Korea. Vice President Mike Pence says the U.S. won't change its position unless the North takes verifiable steps toward denuclearization. A quieter day overall on Wall Street. The Dow up 9 points, the S&P up 7, the Nasdaq gains 41, the Dow finishing right around 24,884. This is the Fox Report. Fair and balanced.
I'm in almost every school bus and classroom. I go to school with your children. We say the Pledge of Allegiance together. You see me around the neighborhood and you tell me that I'm a pretty good kid. Well, I'm one out of every 5 children in America, and I'm struggling with hunger. This problem is closer than you think. My teacher tells me we can grow up to be whatever we want. I want to grow up to be someone who doesn't go to bed hungry. There's enough food in this country to feed everybody. Please visit feedingamerica.org today and find your local food bank for ways to help. Every dollar you donate helps provide 8 meals for kids like me, quietly struggling with hunger. Together, we are Feeding America. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Just days after a storm that knocked out power to more than 2 million people, another nor'easter expected to hit beginning tonight, bringing heavier snow to more areas. A winter storm warning stretching from Philadelphia to Maine. Amtrak already modifying its Northeast corridor schedule for tomorrow. More evidence of just how bad the nation's opioid epidemic has become, fueled by prescription painkillers as well as illegal drugs.
Deaths from opioid overdoses are up by nearly a third. Data released by the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention show that from 2016 to 2017, more than 140,000 ER cases involved suspected ODs.
We're currently seeing the highest drug overdose death rates ever recorded in the United States, driven by prescription opioids and by illicit opioids, such as heroin and illicitly manufactured fentanyl.
The CDC's Dr. Ann Schuchat. Every demographic group from men and women to age groups to ethnic groups showed consistently sharp increases in overdose rates. Eben Brown, Fox News.
Amazon stock hits another all-time high, and CEO Jeff Bezos is now the world's richest man, topping the Forbes list of billionaires for the first time. His fortune, $112 billion, up over $39 billion from last year, the biggest one-year gain ever, beating number 2 Bill Gates by over $20 billion.
Gates drops to the number 2 spot, and Warren Buffett falls to number 3. A record 2,208 billionaires are among Forbes' annual ranking. And according to editors from the magazine, the super rich continue to get richer, widening the gap between them and everyone else.
Fox's Hillary Barsky. McDonald's keeps trying to boost sales, now ready to try fresh beef instead of the frozen patties it's been using since the 1970s. They'll try it in 8 cities and only for some burgers, the Quarter Pounder and signature craft varieties. Others, including the Big Mac, will still use frozen. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News Radio.
In illness and in wellness, Calvo's Select Care is health care that is there for you. That's why over 80% of the Guam medical community places their trust and insures with us. We offer our members wellness and fitness programs for a healthier lifestyle and provide a comprehensive medical network on and off island to help members from unexpected illnesses. Contact Calvo's Select Care today for more information.
Subway's got your fresh choices for Lent. Sink your teeth into the classic tuna or indulge in the mouth-watering greatness of our seafood sensation. Or try our tasty Veggie Max, a delicious vegetarian patty free of artificial colors and flavors. All our subs are served on freshly baked bread paired with vegetables, cut fresh daily in restaurants, and sauces that are sure to excite your taste buds. Visit any of our convenient locations today at Subway. Fresh is what we do.
As we journey through the new year, we here at APL continue to find ways to better deliver our island's resources with innovative and cost-effective solutions, lending our helping hands by carrying your freight safely from the U.S. mainland or anywhere in our global network. We humbly honor the opportunities to continue to work and connect with you and your business. We are APL, and we are here for you.
Rain. It's nature's way of cleansing the earth. Yet by the time that rainwater makes its way to your home, it may not be exactly the same as nature created it. A Connecticut water treatment system can improve the quality of the water you and your family drink and use throughout your home, so you can be sure your water is clear, clean, and fresh, just as nature intended it to be. Connecticut, for refreshing ideas on water.
American Water Tech. Smarter water, better water. Call American Water Tech, 649-2301, or email info@americanwatertech.com.
Triple J says yes. Zero down? Yes. 1.9% financing? Yes. Easy trade-in? Yes. No payments for 90 days? Yes. We'll have you saying yes, too, to these amazing deals. Like our big boy truck, the Ford F-150 at only $217 per paycheck. Or the top safety pick Mazda CX-5 Sport at only $194 per paycheck. Or turn heads in the Mazda 3 Sport or the sleek and sophisticated Kia Soul. Both for only $129 per paycheck. Visit us online at triplejguam.com. Some Some conditions apply. See dealer for details. Triple J, customers first.
Alpha Day and good morning, Guam. News time here at The Point is 8 minutes past 8 a.m. this Wednesday morning. I'm Kevin Kerrigan. Here's a look now at some of the top stories from the Guam Daily Post. Allegations of corruption and mismanagement heard at an oversight hearing for the Guam Regional Transit Authority yesterday morning. Former board member Ginger Porter, GRTA riders, and Ray Tapazna, the man Governor Calvo assigned to assist GRTA some years ago, were among those who alleged irregularities in the bus operations contract between GRTA and Kloppenberg Enterprises. The hearing yesterday came just a week after the release of a critical audit report of the agency from the Office of Public Accountability. Tapazna said the OPA audit confirmed his suspicions that GRTA was being overbilled for paratransit services and that the contract with Kloppenberg violated Guam procurement law. Porter accused GRTA Executive Manager Rick Augustine of negligence. Tapazna said when he brought his concerns to the governor's chief of staff in January 2016, he said he was directed to resign. Porter, too, alleged she was asked to leave the board after making similar complaints. Brad Kloppenberg, vice president and director of operations at Kloppenberg Enterprises, challenged Tapazna's allegations, saying that's news to me. He denied overbilling and said all payments were authorized properly by GRTA. Guam lawmakers have again rejected Governor Calvo's proposed 50% increase in the business privilege tax, voting 11-3 against it during a special session yesterday afternoon. The governor's bill would have raised the BPT by 2 percentage points from 4% to 6% for just 1 year. During the course of yesterday's debate, Senator Tommy Morrison offered a compromise amendment to raise the BPT just 1% to 5% instead of 6%. That, too, however, was rejected. The governor expressed deep disappointment in the legislature's failure to pass a bill to relieve the fiscal crisis. Meanwhile, at a news conference yesterday, the governor said he's planning on introducing a bill to shorten the 90-day notice time now required for any furlough. On Monday, the governor reissued his 32-hour workweek furlough notice to conform with the 90-day requirement the Attorney General advised him on. But he says that's too long to deal with the current crisis. He wants to shorten the notice period to just 30 days, and he'll introduce a bill in the coming days to accomplish that. He said he'd submit that legislation because Guam is now facing what he called the greatest fiscal crisis the island has ever seen. We'll have more news after this.
For more than 40 years, we've managed our island's most precious resource, your health. Take Care's benefit plans allow members access to more than 120 medical providers, 40 dental providers, and 18 pharmacies in the region. Take Care's health plans ensure members in Palau, Saipan, and Guam receive the care they deserve. Our programs and wellness classes have proven results for our valued members, and our commitment to your health never been stronger. Take Care. Our island, your health plan.
How do you turn every day into cash back? With the Bank of Guam Visa credit card, cash back just got better. Get 1.5% cash back every month with every purchase, every pick-me-up, every filler-up, every Sunday dinner, every four-wheel spinner. Whatever comes to mind, even every stroll in the sweet sunshine. Everything your heart desires turns into 1.5% cash back every month. The Bank of Guam Visa credit card, the everyday card. Apply today. Call, click, or visit. Terms and conditions apply. Bank of Guam, member FDIC.
11 minutes past 8 a.m. here at The Point. There will be no tax assessment against the General Conference of Seventh-day Adventists. After a nearly year-long legal battle with the Department of Revenue and Taxation, the parties have now reached an agreement. Rev Tax had sued SDA for more than $700,000 worth of deficiencies in the organization's 2011 and 2012 income tax statements. SDA has agreed to transfer operations of their clinic into a Guam corporation that makes them exempt from the income taxes rather than as part of the church nonprofit. As a cost-cutting measure, the Guam Public Library System has announced the closure of the Agana Library on Saturdays starting this weekend. The announcement did not indicate how much would be saved by the closure of the library on Saturdays. The news release from the library indicates the measure was taken in accordance with the governor's order to initiate cost-cutting measures throughout every agency of the government of Guam. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post. Here's Ray with the weather.
Well, thank you very much. Looking at the weather over the last couple of days, nothing major to report. It's the dry season around here, not getting a whole lot by way of rain. But there's always the possibility that could happen. Also, the possibility that there could be some raging grass fires out there. So watch out with the open burning. Otherwise, we've got partly cloudy skies in the forecast with some isolated showers. Winds out of the east to about 15, 20 miles an hour, daytime or nighttime. And daytime highs about 89 degrees. 75 is what they're predicting for the overnight lows tonight. And you might not, depending on where you're from, you might not think that's much of a big, hairy deal. But 75 is cold. If you're born and raised on Guam, you go 75, I'm wearing my sweater. I'm going out with it's sweater weather. I'm a turtleneck tonight.
Cool. In Michigan, they call them summer jackets. Wear your summer jacket.
That's Kevin Kerrigan. He takes care of the news. Thanks very much. Go and have a good time over at the Deuce. I'm threatening to go big shot my way through the crowd a little bit later on, and see if I can meet up some of the people that I'll be spending some time with as we broadcast tomorrow from the Guam Industry Forum. That's the plan. But you still have to come here and hang out with Mike all day.
I'll be here, even though I won't see you. We'll hear you tomorrow morning.
Yeah, I was going to. You could come with me tomorrow if you want to hang out there, starting at 5 o'clock. Let's say we'll do the WhatsApp on that a little bit later on. And to see now, and there's Mike going, well, who's going to be here with me? Nobody. It's 8:13.
I can wear my Winnie the Pooh PJs if nobody shows up,
Nobody
man.
will be here. It won't be on camera. It's 8:13. That's news and weather together here on The Point.
At Micronesia Renewable Energy, values matter. So all of their solar energy systems come with guarantees and the most value. No shortcuts, all quality. It's giving you that solar energy system at the best price. It's using highly efficient solar panels with typhoon-proven racking, built by highly skilled local technicians, so your system performs and saves you money. It's total peace of mind all the time. Not all solar companies are created equal. For experienced quality solar, it's MRE. Call 632-2613. MRE, the smarter choice.
Subway's got your fresh choices for Lent. Sink your teeth into the classic tuna or indulge in the mouth-watering greatness of their seafood sensation. You know, when I say Subway, do you think of sandwiches right away? Is that the first thing that you think of?
It really is.
The broaden the horizons. Do you know they have a soup at Subway?
Oh, do they now?
It's true. They have soups.
Sweet.
Well, not sweet soups. They're just soup.
Oh, just
they have soups there. And so when you think of Subway, I always think of the Subway, the submarine sandwich.
Yeah.
But
like a meatball sub.
You can also get them on a flatbread, right?
Oh.
Or the tuna. I know people say, "Give me the tuna, everything but the bread." And the lady says, "Oh, so you want a salad?" Oh, yeah, that's what I want. So try that. They've got a Veggie Max there too, delicious vegetarian patty, free of artificial colors and flavors. So visit any of their convenient locations at Subway. Fresh is what they do.
When the power goes out on Guam, the little things can become surprisingly big. Small comforts are often the things we miss most during a power outage. That is why Kohler built the fastest responding generator sets in the industry. Whether you are at home or away, a residential Kohler generator will enable you and your family to live life without interruption. Kohler gas, LPG, and diesel power systems are available from Morrico Equipment, LLC on Epal Road. Call 649-1946. That's 649-1946.
This program is brought to you by First Hawaiian Bank. It all starts with yes.
Relax, enjoy, and be greeted by the spectacular view of Hagåtña Bay when you visit the Point at the Sheraton Laguna Guam. Gaze into the beautiful sunset as you unwind to the music of Philip Garcia and Natasha on Wednesdays, Mama Shar and Nina on Thursdays, Philip Garcia and Louise Muña on Fridays, and Jack Larimer on Saturdays. Open daily from 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. Happy hour from 5 to 8 p.m. with all cocktail drinks for $7. Receive a discount when you present your SPG card. Call Peter Yaban at 646-2222 for reservations at the Point at the Sheraton Laguna Guam Resort.
The Ray Gibson Show. Call now. 888-TALK. That's 888-8255.
Okay, so you know what I get to do, and it's a rare kind of deal here, but with Kevin splitting to go and do the what do you call it thing over at the hotel, So I get to do the 8:30 headlines. I get to do the 8:30 headlines. I dig that. Okay, so you're sitting in the wrong chair, which means on the visual radio it says Kevin Kerrigan, where it should say Blake Watson, and I'm too lazy to fix that. So,
that's okay.
So you're just gonna have to be Kevin for a little bit.
That's fine.
I thought so.
Do
I
I look like a Kevin?
Yeah, you guys are brothers, just past for brothers, except for the beard and the skinny and the hat, the black
age,
hair.
Yeah. I'm trying to be like I'm trying to be unlike Cooper. I want you to see my eyes.
Ah, the dog, Cooper the dog.
Yeah, Cooper the dog.
Thanks for remembering.
You're welcome. Of course.
Hey, it's time now for. Wait a second, because he's on the phone. It's time now for Sports with Blake. Okay, sports guy.
All right. So I want to preface this first report by saying that my daughter, she's 19 months old, and she just found a new love. First, it was outdoors. And now we brought home the Little Red Wagon from her grandmother's house. So now she loves being pulled in the Little Red Wagon. So I loaded it up. We loaded it up yesterday evening around sunset to go to UOG and walk Dean Circle.
Right.
So on the way, we had to pass the GW Field and saw this. The FD Friars and the Sanchez Sharks playing. Now, they were playing separate games. It was a doubleheader, but they are both headed to the rugby finals because the Friars behind Mateus Calvo and Austin Pareto defeated GW, and the Shark, they got big contributions from Willie Booker and Jake Ngako, and they win over the JFK Islanders 28-5. So that's what I saw yesterday.
So they're eventually going to meet each other in battle. Yes,
in the final, yeah. So it's going to be FD and Sanchez for the championship, and it looks like consolation game will fall to GW and JFK.
So I was going to say, what are the odds makers saying about this? I mean, I'm serious. Hey, listen, rugby. 5 years ago, rugby didn't exist here in the school scene, and now we got boys and girls playing rugby, and I think in some cases for a lot of kids, it has become a great addition to some of the other things that they do. You get guys, they like to grapple, they like football, and now they've got rugby as well. So there's opportunities to excel in so many different sports, and so many opportunities for the schools to be able to put together teams. Because it's not all that much more expensive. We've already got the field, right?
Right, and and it just takes the ball. You know what I mean? Just the ball. They're not too expensive. And the interesting thing about that is there's more of an opportunity for sports tourism in the fact that more athletes, because it's rugby. I mean, American football doesn't travel. You can't go to Singapore to play. In a sevens tournament. Yeah, but rugby you can. And it's also a lot of parents are looking at it as kind of a safer alternative because in a lot of places. They're not.
Well, are we doing full contact rugby?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, full contact rugby. But a lot of places aren't letting kids go full contact football until high school. So a lot of parents are putting their children into rugby just because even though it is full contact, there's no pads. So the idea is that with no pads, and that's kind of the idea that people want the NFL to move to.
They'll be a little bit softer on each
other.
They
won't go full clip, and that's kind of like just a simple fix for the NFL. Is an idea that's been thrown out there is just take off the helmet, like keep them in their pads. But if you just go back to the leather helmets, people won't hit with their heads as hard. Because there's more of a risk.
The disincentive is there because it will mess up my head big.
It completely works in reverse. The only reason they have the helmets they have now is because they did smack heads that hard with the leather helmets on. And let me tell you something, and you probably did, and you may have as well.
His finger.
In our younger days, getting out there on the sandlot, you didn't care that you didn't have pads.
Right? No,
you nailed them.
Oh, we wanted to play tackle football all the time as kids.
Absolutely,
nobody wants to play touch. When you're a kid, when you're third, fourth grade.
That's for girls.
That's right.
It's like I play tackle. It's like, but nobody's wearing pads. It's like, who cares? We're in fourth grade. We'll never be this tough ever again.
I hadn't thought about that. That's literally the first time I've thought about playing just lot football with my buddies in a long time. And you're right. Thinking about it, the last time I was out there, no helmet, no pads, just playing some game of football, and it was tackle football at Epaw Beach Park. And I remember I had the ball, and that was all I remember from the game because I got tackled and it rung my bell pretty hard. Right? And I thought, well, maybe I'm not meant for this game against these guys here, considering how much bigger they all are and how much more serious they were with the game. That is a very, very interesting thing. So we'll we'll see if it works out one way or the other. But the games are still getting played. Anything else that's big that's in the sports scene?
Yes, just very quickly, I can add this. There's also the IIWG Boys Basketball Championship has also been set as the St. John Knights will be headed back. They took down the Friars by 2 points in a thriller yesterday at the Phoenix Center, 52-50 as the Knights punched their ticket, and they will meet the St. Paul Warriors, which has been the league's top seed all year, and they beat JFK pretty easily, 76-53 in the semis, and that will be your championship. St. Paul versus St. John.
Boy, there's a whole lot happening, and there needs to be. As we look at the calendar March through, we're now at the beginning of March, and a lot of these guys, especially the Father Duenas guys, I mean, their school year, their senior year ends early, so it's important that we get to the championships as quickly as possible for these guys, as they are looking at I think mentally, my recollection when I was a senior at Father Duenas, I mentally checked out of the system. I want to say
now.
January.
Yeah, I would say I don't remember much of second semester of my senior year.
The second semester of my senior year, I was just in it, and I just wanted to cruise. That's all I wanted to do. Is I knew which class I was going to fail, and I knew I had a pretty decent chance of at least getting a 70 and everything else. And so that was it. My brain was on cruise control all the way through the end.
February 19th is when my longtime high school girlfriend and I broke up.
God, I hope you're not letting your kids listen to this.
My senior year,
such bad influences.
And that was it. After that, February 19th, my senior year, I was done.
That was it. Not doing anything anymore. I don't feel like I need to impress anybody. If I can't impress her, then forget it.
That's right. I want the cap, the gown. I want to walk, and I'm out. That's it.
It's 8:23 in the morning. There's Blake Watson with a little bit of a reveal here this morning. And you think about yours, guys. You think about your last couple of months in school. And when you mentally checked out or why you mentally checked out. I swear, the only reason why I went to school for a lot of things, because it was a good place to sleep. And
nice and cold.
Well, I was also in my senior year, I discovered track.
Oh,
and so
that's
that
when
was,
you started running. Huh?
Yeah, well, I mean, no, I wasn't any good at it. You know, it was just one of those things. We're putting together a team. Everybody else was playing the basketball or some other sport, and so I wasn't necessarily in competition with some of the other athletes in school.
Where did y'all practice back then?
GW.
GW. So y'all just ran over to GW or drove over to GW and practiced there?
Drive over to GW after all the radical guys that wanted to kill me had gone home for the day, and would hang out there. So but I was also, it was at the time where FD couldn't send out as many kids in a lot of sports, so we combined with GCC at the time. Okay. So it was the FD tradesman, I think, was how we referred to ourselves. So everybody had a little bit of both of the names, and so I would run track with I think it was me and another guy for Father Duenas, and the rest of the team was made up of people from GCC.
Huh. And GW just let you use the track there.
Oh yeah. Cool. We'd practice there, or we'd have different sessions all over the place. It's a lot of fun, and when your brain is totally in this private school world, you're in that echo chamber, and that's all you know, and then all of a sudden you've got an opportunity not just to compete against, but to compete with people from the public schools. My eyes totally open, totally, and I stopped dating academy chicks and started dating girls from GW and JFK. It was just
shout out to the public school girls.
Best time of my life. 8:25 in the morning. That's my reveal, and that's sports. There's Blake. I'm Ray. Take a break. Or traffic. Which one? No, do traffic. Fine. So here's what you're up against here this morning is, I don't know why, but there seems to be, I'm not seeing a whole lot of places where traffic is slowing down big time, but I am seeing a lot of traffic building up in some of the usual spots and unusual spots. Coming out of Isangsong Road at the Route 3 end has been kind of tricky all morning long, and I think it's going to continue for just a little bit longer. Not too crazy over at the intersection yet. 8, 10, and 16 traffic inbound towards 8, 10, and 16 is getting a little bit heavy, but traffic outbound just enough to annoy you until you get to the Golden Sea intersection. That's sports and traffic together on The Point. As we journey through the new year, we here at APL continue to find ways to better deliver our island's resources with innovative and cost-effective solutions, lending our helping hands by carrying your freight safely from the U.S. mainland or anywhere in our global network. We humbly honor the opportunities to continue to work and connect with you and your business. We are APL, and we are here for you.
Relax, enjoy, and be greeted by the spectacular view of Hagåtña Bay when you visit the point at the Sheraton Laguna Guam. Gaze into the beautiful sunset as you unwind to the music of Philip Garcia and Natasha on Wednesdays, Mama Shar and Nina on Thursdays, Philip Garcia and Louise Munia on Fridays, and Jack Larimer on Saturdays. Open daily from 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. Happy hour from 5 to 8 p.m. with all cocktail drinks for $7. Receive a discount when you present your SPG card. Call Peter Yaban at 646-2222 for reservations at the point at the Sheraton Laguna Guam Resort.
Subway's got your fresh choices for Lent. Sink your teeth into the classic tuna or indulge in the mouth-watering greatness of our seafood sensation. Or try our tasty Veggie Max, a delicious vegetarian patty free of artificial colors and flavors. All our subs are served on freshly baked bread paired with vegetables, cut fresh daily in restaurants, and sauces that are sure to excite your taste buds. Visit any of our convenient locations today at Subway. Fresh is what we do.
Studio time on the point is 8:27, and just a couple of minutes before I get to do the headlines, I get to do the Kevin Kerrigan headlines, and I like that. I like to think that, and I've heard people try to do it before, try to read the way he writes, right. And they just butcher it. Yeah, they absolutely butcher it. So I've got my fingers crossed that as I do this, that I will do his writing because he writes for himself. I've worked with a ton of people in the game that are exactly the same way, and they write for themselves. And when they hand the copy to somebody else, sometimes you know that feeling when you put on somebody else's Zorries, you know right away that those aren't your Zorries.
My
Exactly
toes don't fit in the grooves right, man.
Exactly the same thing when it comes to news. So I try not to butcher this here in a couple of minutes. 8:28, let me just use this as a bridge to get from here to there. We worry as we talk about this furlough deal that's coming up about when is it going to take place. Governor's got some legislation that they're preparing to put it to the legislature so that they can shorten the notification period. We got the word from Bob Klitsky that he was able to find some statute where it's possible that that maybe this doesn't need to be done. It's possible that the numbers are already there the way we need them. And one of my alert listeners, as opposed to those of you that are just kind of out there in the background, got me as a buzz playing in the background, reminds me, former Speaker Wonpat and a few other senators have frequently pointed out in session and in hearings that Guam compiler of laws had codified provisions of the annual budgets that apply exclusively to a specific fiscal year only. In PL 27-05, the legislature enacted a furlough law that applies to 30 days after its enactment date to the end of the fiscal year. That's how mistakes are made with compiling of the Guam Code Annotated. So it is possible that what Bob sees is correct. That's right, but it was written only for a specific period. And once that time period had elapsed, once that fiscal year had ended, we go back to the old rules that are in statute. Bob, if you're listening, check on that, which state that a written 90-day notice that a furlough is planned must be issued to all employees, whether or not identified for furlough in the department or agency. And there's a number of other things that will apply. For instance, if you're on the list for furloughment, you can say, you know what? I'm just not going to go to work. How about we do that? I'm not going to go to work at all. Never mind the 20% worth of less hours or whatever. I'm just not going to go to work. You can still get your job. You can still claim your job back after that and just say, I'm volunteering my employment to be furloughed. And then when the furlough period is over, you can come back. So what do you do?
Yeah,
if you're on furlough, let me suggestion for you. I will suggestion for you on what you might want to do. Do you know about nuclear medicine?
Do not know. Sounds intriguing.
Crap! I forgot to go to nuclear medicine school. That was one of the things that the Navy told me I could do if I joined up in the Navy.
Nuclear medicine.
They absolutely did. Said I couldn't go to Danfoss, the journalist school, and I couldn't be a helicopter pilot. But you can be a nuclear medicine guy. And I thought, well, that would be interesting. We talked about it a little bit, and I decided against it because I'm dumb. The nuclear medicine technologist, there's a job opening for that, $36.52 an hour.
Hey,
and they'll fly you from the States.
Now, that means you get to research nuclear medicine, not be the guy that gets shot up full of nuclear medicine to be researched on.
Look, you know, anything, everybody is a Google search away from becoming an expert in something, right? So I just Google nuclear medicine technologist and catch up on some of the buzzwords, and you should be able to go in and bluff your way through that interview. Nice. No problem. There's same guys I think are looking for a radiological technologist. Not quite as much money, earning potential here as the nuclear medicine guy. They only make $20.43, but I imagine that's fewer buzzwords that you have to learn.
I'm sure.
When you go in and BS with the
for
guy.
that mere pittance.
Yes. Yeah, so are you familiar with that? Yes, I worked with the Framus 4000. That's the one with the double diode Zorker? Yeah. No, I used that one in the war. This one here. Hold on, this is the one, and I'm gonna try not to be sexist about it, but you know me, it's impossible. This gig, I think, depending on who you are, I think you ought to go after this, and it won't take you that long to go from open water to becoming a scuba instructor.
Oh, hey,
that's a $20 an hour job.
There you go,
and
it's fun. It's fun.
Oh my God, the ocean's my playground, right? You know, despite the fact that there are things down there that can bite you or sting you to death.
Or eat you. Yeah,
or eat you, right?
Yeah.
So, but the rest of it, man, that would be absolutely cool. So, you know, what's a bad day at work? You only had 5 women that showed up in bikinis.
Let's see.
Right?
You know,
as opposed to, 6 or 7 on any other given day of the week. I'm just saying it's mostly outside. You get yourself through the instructor courses. Now, I'm saying that it probably wouldn't take that long to get to the part of dive instructor, knowing completely full well that I've never gone any further than advanced diver. But it seems to me that, like anything else, it's a process. You go, you take a course, you pass, you take the next course, you pass, you take the next course, you pass. Eventually, you become the guy that knows everything about diving. And then somewhere along the way, I think you can be an instructor. He doesn't have to go on the air, but if you can find Lee Weber while we're doing the interview, while I'm doing the headlines, that would be cool. And then we can ask him how long it would take. It's starting from zero, I just got here, $20 an hour sounds like great money, and chicks in bikinis, and boat rides. So how long would it take me from jump? It's like couch to 5K. How long would it take me to get off the couch and become a dive instructor?
Inquiring minds want to know.
No, just mine.
We'll find out.
Just mine. Because there's going to be people who go, I don't know what to do with my life. Oh, woe is me. I can't work in the government of Guam anymore. Oh, darn, what am I going to do with my life? Right? Go outside, play, and get paid for it. Then the underthink, chicks in bikinis. There might be some guys in bikinis, too, because you know what Russians wear when they come to Guam. Careful. All right, are we ready for headlines? Ray Gibson reading news from the Guam Daily Post. There'll be no tax assessment against the General Conference of Seventh-day Adventists after a nearly year-long legal battle with the Department of Revenue and Taxation. The parties have reached an agreement. Rev and Tax had sued SDA for more than $700,000 worth of deficiencies in the organization's 2011 and 12 income tax statements. They have agreed to transfer operations of the SDA clinic into a Guam corporation exempt from income taxes rather than as part of the church's non-profit. Ratings agency Standard & Poor's has placed Guam under a credit watch with negative implications, and an analyst has voiced concern Guam's ability to pay its debt could be impaired. The rating agency described GovGuam as being under a fiscal stress due to an estimated $67 million decrease in general fund revenue for FY 2018 due to the effects of the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act of 2017. S&P Global Rating Credit Analyst Paul Dyson said the decision to place Guam under credit watch reflects the government's disclosure that its cash flow will be extremely constrained over the next several months and perhaps even longer. Also reflects their view that the government's ability to meet its ongoing obligations could be impaired. Is it time to start talking about drama at the legislature? Guam lawmakers have again rejected Governor Calvo's proposed 50% increase in the business privilege tax, voting 11-3 against it during a special session held yesterday afternoon. The governor's bill would have raised the BPT by 2 percentage points from 4 to 6 over the course of a year. During the course of yesterday's debate, Senator Tommy Morrison offered an amendment to raise the BPT just 1 percentage point. That, too, was rejected. The governor expressed deep disappointment in the legislature's failure to pass a bill to relieve the fiscal crisis. The drama will continue today at the legislature as the first of a series of reorganization hearings takes place. Senator Frank Uggan Jr. has proposed legislation that would give the governor authority to begin restructuring and reorganizing smaller departments and agencies of the government of Guam. It's 8:36 in the morning. That's headlines from the Guam Daily Post, and that's also iConnect time. iConnect. Wait a second. Look for the script. Time from iConnect, 8:36. Hop on over to iConnect and receive a free gift and automatic entry to win an iPhone 10 with every new 12-month plan from now until Easter.
We have those moments in our lives that happen unpredictably. The unexpected instances that we did not really need. Now you can count on us to stay well, Papa to live well, Papa to stay well, making sure you stay well. We'll lift you up when times are low. I'll see how far we'll go and stay well.
Stay Well Insurance. See how far we'll go.
Portions of the program brought to you by King's Restaurant. You know about the place, King's, right?
I do.
Yeah, 40 years plus they've been serving families, your favorites, all over the island, always healthy, always open, always local. That's King's.
At GTA, we believe you deserve better than home internet with hidden data fees. That's why all our internet plans are unlimited, because binging movies in bed shouldn't make you want to hide under the covers when the bill arrives. So the choice is yours. Bill shock with the other guys? Or a life unlimited with GTA? Say goodbye to hidden data fees and make the switch today. GTA, your island, your network.
Oh, I'm supposed to tell you about this. This program is also brought to you by Kim and Ron over at Security Title, providing solutions for complex real estate transactions.
For more than 40 years, we've managed our island's most precious resource, your health. Take Care's benefit plans allow members access to more than 120 medical providers, 40 dental providers, and 18 pharmacies in the region. Take Care's health plans ensure members in Palau, Saipan, and Guam receive the care they deserve. Our programs and wellness classes have proven results for our valued members, and our commitment to your health never been stronger. Take Care, our island, your health plan.
Let's go. Traffic time on the point. Anything out there worth telling you about that I haven't already gone over a couple of times? The usual locations have been busy all morning. As I said, unusual activity up on Isangsong Road over into Route 3, and then from Route 3 into Marine Corps Drive. It's always getting trickier and trickier to drive around there. Still not seeing things clear up around 810 and 16. Inbound to 810 and 16, a little bit heavy. Also slowing down on the way out, traffic building until you get to about Golden Sea. Hey, you should be all right from there. Yeah, coming in from Mastumbo all the way into the intersection at Marine Corps Drive and Route 3. Lots of cars seem to be up there. There was a little bit of a mess getting into Anderson Air Force Base this morning, but it looks like that has cleared up. Might still be a couple of slowdowns up in the Jigo area. 20 away from the top of the hour. Lee Weber wouldn't go on the radio. He said it was too busy.
A little busy. Yeah, I could hear things banging around behind him and things, and it just wasn't a good time.
You couldn't even ask him how long it would take?
No, he was in a hurry.
8:39. All right, we'll see if we can find out from alternate sources.
How do you turn every day into cash back? With the Bank of Guam Visa credit card, cash back just got better. Get 1.5% cash back every month with every purchase. Every pick-me-up, every filler-up, every Sunday dinner, every four-wheel spinner. Whatever comes to mind, even every stroll in the sweet sunshine. Everything your heart desires turns into 1.5% cash back every month. The Bank of Guam Visa credit card, the everyday card. Apply today. Call, click, or visit. Terms and conditions apply. Bank of Guam. Member FDIC.
Wow, this is interesting. It's just interesting the way that they line up here. I'm looking at the Facebook feed and seeing who's there. Michael St. Nicholas, that is candidate for Congress. Mike St. Nicholas has joined. Right underneath him is the name Kaylia. Kaylia is one of the ladies that keeps track of things for Congresswoman Madeline Zebradallo. You guys should talk to each other. See what's up. I know that MZB is here. She's supposed to be doing some speaking over at the industry forum that's taking place. Former Guam resident, but Guam always on his mind. Ray Souza is online. I see Marie Lizamo is over there. And Eddie Sharkey Cruz is up. Eddie's also big on Facebook. He's one of these guys, every once in a while, call into the radio station, do some punditry and curmudgeon work. But he likes to do that on Facebook as well. He's up, and he heard the sportscast with Blake. He says, "Holy crap, you bagged Blake? He's awesome." Yeah, thank you very much. I think so. I saw that that particular piece of talent might be available, and like any decent guy that spots good talent, you do what you got to do to get him on your side and in your tribe. And that's how we get guys like Michael Knight. I only hired him because he's got that voice.
Well, and if you hadn't offered me the soups, man, I mean, the case of soups a month. Come on, man, that was a deal breaker.
And you know about weather. And it frustrates. I tell you, it frustrates me to death that with what you know about weather, we still haven't done anything more than it's raining outside with that.
Well, and really that's when it comes right down to it, man, that's all anyone really cares about.
Exactly.
Is it going to rain on my house today?
Top down, cruising around. What's it going to be out there? What's the weather forecast for the get together today over at the legislature? Will the storm clouds gather at the public hearing? There were a couple of storm clouds gathering on a hearing yesterday over Guam Regional Transit Authority. With me on the line, Senator Frank Uggan. Good morning, Senator.
Good morning, Ramon. Good morning to you, and Mike on to Kevin.
Right. Well, Kevin's over at. He had to split early to go to the industry forum, but I'll pass along the messages for him. Hey, just it sounds like there needs to. I'm glad that the oversight hearing took place at the legislature, and it sounds like there are concerns, even beyond some of the concerns that were brought up in the public auditor report. Are you going to be taking any additional action on some of the things that you heard and said yesterday?
Well, one of the things, first of all, the primary focus of yesterday's oversight hearing on the Guam Regional Transit Authority was to focus on the report of the Office of Public Accountability, because there were a number of findings within that report that we needed to get an update and a response. I'll give you a number of findings from the public auditor. One was the ultimate recommendation that rather than working off of a purchase order, there should be a contract formulated between the contractor, KEI, as well as the Guam Regional Transit Authority.
Right.
So that would delineate and also outline all of the specifics in terms of timeliness, in terms of number of buses and vans that are being serviced, in terms of reporting. And those are specifics that traditionally are in a contract rather than a purchase order. So that was one of the recommendations, and we certainly received an affirmative response from Mr. Augustine that he is going to proceed with his discussions. And we have every intention of making sure that we monitor this process so that that recommendation is worked on a timely manner. Some of the other documents, there were 2 time frames in which the public auditor's office was able to review the invoices. And within those invoices, they identified discrepancies in terms of billing submitted and documents retained by the government of Guam. So that you traditionally, when you get a billing from a contractor, you always have the backup information to be able to cross-check before any payments are remitted.
Yeah.
And in this case, the Public Auditor's Accountability Office questioned the payment of huge amounts, as a matter of fact. One was about approximately $200-some thousand. The other one was about $300-some thousand. Questioned the payments because of the lack of documentation. So we requested for a copy of the checklist. The response was that they now have a checklist in place and they're implementing that process. So we want to make sure that we not only get a copy of that checklist, but that checklist is followed to the T, because anytime that the government is paying out assets or paying out funds for a contracted service, we need to be able to verify that particular service that is provided to our people.
I was looking over. I'm sorry. This is a question that keeps popping into my head when it comes to the GRTA and its usefulness to me as a going concern. I get that there are people here that don't have cars, don't have access to being able to get their own set of wheels, and for whom there is no public transportation, they ain't going to get to work. They're not going to get to the clinic. They're not going to get shopping. And so I obviously support the idea that we have some kind of mass transit here. But I'm wondering if anybody's drilling into the basic economies of mass transit on Guam. As an example, in the course of a month, how much do we spend to have a mass transit authority? Because the numbers I'm looking at are pretty high, and I don't think our ridership has gotten to a point where we go anywhere near covering any of those expenses. Is there a average, profit or loss based on ridership that we can look at?
Ray, I could share this with you right now. That really boils down to a management issue. We just don't know what the numbers are. I'll give you an example. Back in November, there were 4 buses/vans that belonged to the Guam Regional Transit Authority that was out in the field, utilized. And then the contractor was providing the remaining bus transportation requirements. Anytime that a contractor provides their own asset, whether it's a bus or a minivan, they charge the government of Guam and the ridership an additional $23 approximately more an hour during the course of the use of that particular bus
But it's my understanding that they would not have needed to do that had the Guam Regional Transit Authority had a maintenance agreement on their vehicles, so that they wouldn't necessarily be in the shop so long as we'd have to call KEI every other day and ask for them to augment the service, correct?
As a matter of fact, see, Ramon, it really comes down to the management issue. And I'll give you another situation.
How do we get these things without some kind of maintenance agreement?
Well, they have a purchase order that would take care of the purchase procurement of tires and whatnot. But in May of 2017, there was $100,000 transferred out of the GRTA checking account to the Department of Administration, which was supposed to be utilized to be able to establish a contract, a maintenance contract for the repair of these buses and these minivans. To date, as of yesterday morning, there was no visible progress in that entire process.
Give me my $100,000 back.
We're talking about 10 months later.
Give me my $100,000 back.
Exactly. Take that $100,000 back. Work with DPW. Work with either GPA and GWA has a good system in place where they're able to repair their vehicles and their heavy equipment in a timely manner. Work with our sister government of Guam agencies, and let's see what we can do to expedite the repair of these buses. And minivans. We have approximately, Ray, 13 sitting on the sidelines that need repair. So in this case, we also have 4 individuals or 4 buses/minivans that are being provided by the contractor. So we are still, as a government entity, incurring that additional expense unnecessarily.
Kill it, Frank. Kill it. Let it go. I will bet when we get the numbers, and I'm disappointed that we still don't have the numbers. I've been asking after this for years. How much money does it cost us to have a transit authority here on Guam versus how much are we currently paying for this transit authority? How many people are riding the thing? Because I think that when we do the average, we are going to find out that it costs the people of Guam approximately a car payment a day for the ridership that we've got. We're not covering the nut on this thing.
Yes,
so I'm going. It might be cheaper to just buy these people their own cars.
Right. I mean, there are options out there, and in this particular case, one of the directed questions that was asked of the executive manager is when you started your responsibility 3.5 years ago, you had about 4 or 5 individuals. Today, as of yesterday, they have 10 additional personnel. Being mindful that the responsibility of GRTA and the management is to oversee the implementation of a contract that is being provided by a contractor, a service that is being provided by a contractor. So if you're overseeing that, other than a planner, other than a federal personnel or federal programs personnel to go and pursue federal funds and ensure that it's properly expended, other than the general manager and perhaps 1 or 2 other individuals, my question is, could we utilize these people resources in other agencies in the government of Guam, such as Rev and Tax or DOA? And they've been
Can we send them to? Let's send them to the Department of Corrections so that they can chauffeur and they can work at the visitor center and they can work on all of these things that we apparently somebody thought it was a great idea to send police officers to do.
And yes.
So I'm sorry. That was my morning rant. For everybody that missed my morning rant, that was it. That's one of the things that's making me crazy.
Ramon, those are management issues. And let me just also add to your previous statement that privatization is not out of the question. If, in fact, that's the direction that we should take considering how the system is working or not working at this point in time, that we definitely need to be open to all options available out there.
Well, Sadik, let's go through that, and that's the other reason for the call this morning. And if you like, I'll send you a copy of Brad Klitsky's testimony that he's going to be providing for you this morning. At the legislature. He was very, what's the word? He was very positive about talking about you and Regine yesterday at the legislature, because your amendments there between the two of you were examples of the show me state, and so ideas about being able to revert the salaries back to what they were prior to the Competitive Wage Act in 2014, a good idea. He liked Senator Lee's idea of taking the costs of providing security to the royal family, First Family, and putting that at Adelup and not at the Guam Police Department. I think that's a good thing too, because I think if it was Adelup watching the money, maybe they wouldn't spend $367,000 worth of overtime.
Well, Ray, I mean, it's about making incremental reductions, and these are real cost reductions.
No. The governor doesn't like your micro cuts. He doesn't like the micro cuts. I disagree. I think we are not so prosperous that we cannot discount the micro cuts. I think every little nickel and dime is going to help get us closer to $100 million.
Ramon, that's exactly what I was leading up to. Whether you want to call it micro cuts or what, these are realizable cost reductions that we need to incrementally and deliberately. Mind you, Ray, we need to deliberately go through this entire process and find areas where, in fact, we can reduce the cost. The one expectation that our people are insisting on is that they want to see their government/government leaders make decisions that would ultimately reduce the cost of government before we ask them to give any additional money out of their own hard-earned personal pockets into this government operations. And that's exactly how we need to proceed with this entire process. And let's show our people that, yes, your government can contain costs, can look for cost savings and cost reductions. And then if, in fact, there's a need for additional revenue enhancement, there are other ways other than raising taxes and burdening the entire community.
All right. Well, I tell you what, I owe you some time. I've had Ray Tenorio in the studio. I've had former Governor Gutierrez in the studio, and you and Alicia are candidates for the office, and I owe you guys some time in the studio so that we can go through some of these topics, and I can go through some of the crises that are in front of us and find out why again you want to run the place, given we ain't going to solve this problem while Eddie is the governor of Guam. We may get close, but we are not going to solve them all. There will still be a ton of them waiting for you if you win this chair. And frankly, I don't know. I'd kind of look at things and go, maybe it's a better idea. Just stay in the legislature a couple more years.
Not even, Ramon. Thank you very much.
All right, just
time to be able to join you in your show down the road. So I really appreciate the opportunity, and you have a great day.
I will. I'll find Valerie and set things up with her.
Thanks so much.
Have a terrific morning. This is the Ray Gibson Show on the Point, 854, and enough time to speak with Joey San Nicolas about something that I was, and I don't have him in front of me here. Oh, maybe I do. Wait, hold on. I think I do. There were other laws that went through the legislature, and one of them dealt with, and I think that is it Assistant Chief Joey San Nicolas? Deputy.
Deputy Fire Chief.
Deputy Fire Chief Joey San Nicolas. Anyway, thanks for joining me. I'd love to get into a fight with you on closing down Estumbo and Petey, but I thought you and Mike already had a good time with that, so spare everybody that now. I wanted to talk about this piece of legislation, 251-34, if for no other reason to get some clarity on what some of these items are going to be. First of all, your thoughts on this measure. You're okay with it, right?
Yes. Well, this is exactly what I've been proposing since 2012. The Guam Fire Department was given the authority to bill for its services.
Yes.
That the general fund ultimately doesn't cover. And so it's been grossly outdated. We're losing a lot of otherwise free money we could get from the feds as far as reimbursable costs because we don't bill enough. And so I've been asking for this fees and fines increase since then, and I'm just glad they finally, Senator Talina Nelson's finally taken the lead on it.
Well, is it Talina? Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I was thinking it was Regine. She's on the list. All of the girls are here except Louise. Talena, Therese, and Regine on the list. Now, there's a couple of things that I find interesting, and I will go back a few years. And among the crises that you inherited early on when you were made chief was that we had all these ambulances that were out of repair, out of joint, and there was no way to maintain them or buy new ones until you were able to charge for the services. And unlike some other places where we are charging for fees and services, you're actually able to collect on those. So I assume it would be along the same lines that you would use to collect on collecting for the fees on a structure fire or a hazmat service or something like that, right?
Yeah. So we do have a fully functional billing service. It's a 3-tier billing services. It's automated for the most part, and we do have a collection piece to it. So, yeah, we're actually doing really good. We're somewhere around the 60% collection rate for all bills that go out. And, that money is revolving into our Flame Fund, which is authorized to be spent on equipment and certifications, training certifications.
Okay, so you got the money, you get to keep it and decide where it goes. But there's a couple in here that are kind of I didn't understand off the top here. MVA, I scratched my head for that. So that's motor vehicle accident minor, $279. MVA serious, so motor vehicle accident serious. In that case, you would find somebody and charge them $605. So you would, I assume, charge the guilty party.
Yes.
Based on the police investigation.
Correct. And a lot of that is discretionary to a point where we need evidence to back up exactly who and what we're going to bill for, or who we're going to bill and what we're going to bill for. So, these are just very general fees that are being placed on this bill, but it does go a little deeper, and I'm hoping that during the testimony piece, when I submit testimony, that I can get into the details of it.
What is a UCB?
Unauthorized controlled burning. Basically, somebody burning in their backyard.
Oh.
Controlled but unauthorized, no permit.
Right. And permits are actually easy to get. If you go to one of the open fire stations, there should be somebody there that can issue you one, depending on whether or not we've got any red flags out there. Oftentimes, and I know so many of these guys, and I was so happy to see a bunch of them make captain not that long ago. But I know some of these guys also get out there and do water rescues and things like that. I don't see that here. Is that a GPD function, or is that just an oversight?
No, so I have an entire fee schedule that covers every single service that we provide. That's, for the most part, non-emergent services that we provide. And, that fee schedule's been provided. And, Senator Talena has chosen what she thought would be passable in the immediate term. There are some fees there that might be unpopular and might, sabotage the whole effort, or might take some more time and more convincing to get through. But I do have just about everything that we provide covered in the fees and fine schedules that I've put forth.
Well, there were a lot of people that decried the fact that you guys were finally going to start charging for ambulance services, even though it's something that had been provided for in many insurance packages for years. The money's there. Somebody just needs to charge and collect for it. There were a lot of people that were upset about losing this free taxi ride, but at the end of the day, it works out for everybody. Hey, Chief, I got to run. I'll talk to you pretty soon.
No problem.
Appreciate it. Deputy Chief Joyce and Nicholas. We are KUSG Agana. It's time for Fox News.
This is a Fox News alert. Another position to fill at the White House. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. President Trump's economic advisor has resigned. Fox's Jared Halpern live in Washington.
Gary Cohn's resignation is announced as President Trump makes the case for new tariffs on steel and aluminum imports. In a statement, President Trump says Gary did a superb job driving our agenda and helping deliver historic tax cuts. Cohn, who has been the president's National Economic Council director since the beginning of the administration, says it's been an honor to serve my country and enact pro-growth economic policies. The resignation is not immediate. The White House says the departure date will be set in a few weeks. Lisa.
Jared, just hours before President Trump again defended that plan to impose tariffs on imported aluminum and steel.
We have been mistreated by many, sometimes fairly, but there are really very few instances where that's taken place. And I don't blame the countries. I blame our leadership for allowing it to happen.
The president speaking this afternoon alongside the Prime Minister of Sweden. He admitted there is an issue with steel being dumped into the U.S. at a lower price, but urged President Trump to take a different approach. The president's plan raising concerns within his own party.
There's a high level of concern about interfering with what appears to be an economy that's taking off in every respect, as you've heard others suggest here today. So, yeah, there's a high level of concern about it. There are other steps he needs to take, and we're looking forward to seeing what he decides to do.
Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell. A 47-year-old man charged with stealing Frances McDormand's Academy Award. Terry Bryant could get 3 years in jail. McDormand won the Oscar for her performance in 3 billboards outside Ebbing, Missouri. Wall Street at the close. The Dow adds 9 points. The NASDAQ up 41. The S&P gained 7. Fox News. Fair and balanced.
Let's go inside the mind of a 10-year-old.
I should have worn those earrings today. I like those earrings. Gabby has those awesome earrings. I need to ask her where she got those, but that's just what she would want me to do. I'll have Michaela ask her for me.
Buckle up, Sarah.
Yeah, but then Michaela will be like, why don't you just ask her yourself? That's just like Michaela.
Sarah, buckle up.
Michaela's such a great name. I wish I was called Michaela. There's like a dozen Sarahs in my class.
Hey, we're not hitting the road until you buckle up, honey.
Oh yeah, seatbelt. I forget sometimes because my brain is like busy, you know? I wonder if there's pizza at school today.
Sometimes it can be tough to get through to your kids, but it's not impossible. Always make sure they're wearing their seatbelts, even on short drives. Remember, you have the keys, you have the power. Never give up until they buckle up. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council. Visit safercar.gov/kidsbuckleup for more information.
An Oregon man suing Walmart and Dick's Sporting Goods over their decision to change who they will allow to purchase guns. Fox's Jessica Rosenthal has this live.
Lisa, a 20-year-old man from Oregon is suing Dick's Sporting Goods and Walmart. Tyler Watson says he tried to buy a .22 caliber rifle at a Dick's store on February 24th. Then he tried to buy a rifle at a Walmart on March 3rd in a different county. Both times he was told, due to his age, he would not be allowed to buy. In the Dick's case, that was 4 days before the company said it would stop selling certain firearms to those under 21. Companies have been changing age limitations for gun purchases in response to the Parkland, Florida shooting. Now, Oregon age discrimination laws specifically apply to anyone over 18. In a statement, Walmart says they stand by their decision and plan to defend it. Lisa.
Jessica, the former lead bodyguard who had an affair with Nashville Mayor Megan Barry has pleaded guilty to theft of property. Robert Ford's plea came shortly after Barry pled guilty to the same charge and announced her resignation from office. The teachers' strike in West Virginia is over.
School's been closed across West Virginia amid a teacher walkout over a pay raise and a stalemate between the state's Republican governor, GOP-controlled House, and his Senate, which voted today unanimously approving a 5% pay raise, not just for teachers, but for all state employees. State teachers are among the lowest paid in the nation and haven't had an increase in 4 years. Governor Jim Justice says additional budget cuts will fund the pay raise and get West Virginia's 277,000 students and 35,000 employees back to class. Jeff Manasso, Fox News.
The new owner of the Playboy Mansion has agreed to maintain the facade in its original condition under an agreement with the city of Los Angeles. Lisa Lacera, Fox News Radio.
Security Title is honored to join in sponsoring Ray Gibson on The Point. Buenas and half a day, Guau si Clara Menglotnya of Malolo. And this is where I start my day, listening to the voices of our community and sharing thoughts about issues that affect all of us. It all boils down to our people and our land. Protehi itanotmu, protect your land. When it comes to your family land, remember to call the professionals at Security Title, just like you call Ray Gibson in the morning.
I like the way Gibson, that's nice. Hey, the Ray Gibson Show is also brought to you by King's Restaurants, serving Guam favorites to families for over 40 years. King's Restaurant, always open, always local.
The Extra Point with Jerry Roberts of Guam Training every morning on The Ray Gibson Show.
What if I told you that every day of your working life, you are auditioning for a role, maybe more roles than one? I'm Jerry Roberts, and at 7:20 a.m. on The Ray Gibson Show, we talk about rehearsing your lines. It's The Extra Point on 93.3.
Guess that's what we'll be talking about tomorrow. Subway's got your fresh choices for Lent. Sink your teeth into the classic tuna or indulge in the mouthwatering greatness of their seafood sensation. Want something new? The tasty Veggie Max. Visit any of the convenient locations today at Subway. Fresh is what they do.
When the power goes out on Guam, the little things can become surprisingly big. Small comforts are often the things we miss most during a power outage. That is why Kohler built the fastest responding generator sets in the industry. Whether you are at home or away, a residential Kohler generator will enable you and your family to live life without interruption. Kohler gas, LPG, and diesel power systems are available from Morrico Equipment, LLC on Epal Road. Call 649-1946. That's 649-1946.
$7 meal from Circle K. Get your choice of 2 Nathan's all-beef hot dogs or a half-pound Nathan's all-beef footlong, a big wrap bag of chips, and any size Polar Pop. That's a giant deal of a meal, all for only $7. Circle K. Take it easy.
The Ray Gibson Show, your new News Talk headquarters.
Did we run out of stuff to talk about yet? No? Okay. I'll just keep going and see what you've got to say. 888-8255 is the telephone number. And I'm going to urge you to get in your thoughts now. If you could, because tomorrow is going to be Industry Forum Day. It's online now. Today is the first day of the Industry Forum, and there's a bunch of people down there that should have, within about the last half hour or so, gotten up on the stage and started the conversation that will enlighten everybody on and update us all where we are in this military build-up deal that was supposed to be online and on track for billions of dollars years ago, but they decided to thin it out and spread it out over the years. So this year, I think the nut that we're going to be looking for is $1 billion worth of spend. There's a whole bunch that's already in the hopper. And as we move through the year, more and more of these contracts are going to get signed and business is going to get started. There was a concern about H-2Bs. And it'll be interesting to hear what the governor's got to say about it. Remember, he said he was changed his mind about that whole military buildup thing because they had made the changes on whether or not we could have H-2s coming into town. But he will be speaking down there as well, perhaps with the knowledge that I think we've finally gotten out from under it. Certainly the federal side and the government side of the work can be done with H-2B guys that don't fall under the cap. And then the other part of it is it looks like registration and interviews will take place for guys in the private sector process as well. So there and all some good news. Maybe we are finally at that point. Although I'll also be interested in finding out if anybody from the usual group of protesters are going to be down there as well. 9 after 9 in the morning. And the initial morning rant today. There's always going to be something out there that I can rant about. I'm not a cop. But I have a great deal of respect for the men and women that take time away from their families, strap on a gun and a badge, and go and protect me and the rest of the community from folks who don't have as much respect for the law as I do. A note, Coffee with a Cop, which will take place tomorrow at IHOP from 7:30 until 9:30. Join your local Guam police officers for some coffee and casual conversations. Get to know your officers, ask questions, and voice your concerns. And if I would be able to leave here tomorrow, my great concern would be that we have closed the Agana precinct. And in an effort to stem the overtime issue at the Department of Corrections, we have taken these men and women who strap on a gun and a badge and take an oath. And we are now asking them not to play guard at the Department of Corrections. Not to do any. They're going to be asked to do, it sounds like clerk work, if you ask me. They're going to be chauffeuring guys around. They're going to be in charge of transportation and perimeter checks and intake and what was the visitor center, right? And I'm going, wait a second, aren't there other people that can do this? So the concern is we're going to be augmenting now because we've taken these 33 police officers off the line. We're going to augment them with other uniformed dudes from the port police, the airport police, the park rangers. Who else are we talking about there, Frank?
I don't know. Maybe Guam Customs. I'm not sure, or Fish and Wildlife. I'm not sure.
Yeah. And I'm going, well, wait a second. Those are the guys that can do the chauffeuring. Those are the guys that can do the intake. I mean, if we've got cops, guys that went through the process and have been given the privilege of service in the community, then they need to be out there doing police work. And chauffeuring clients from the DEP court to the hospital or the court isn't police work. And that's my rant today. And I was waiting for somebody to disagree with me.
I can't disagree with you. I think that rant is a justified one. But there's some other problems with all of this. I don't see how they're going to cut costs because there's a shortage of DOC officers and stuff. But I don't see how they're going to cut costs. But the bigger problem is our island is less protected. And then when police officers go out to respond, or these other guys who are not police officers, it takes a while to learn policing and how to do the job and then how to take notes and prepare a police report. So if you just look at it from just writing a police report, the GPD police reports are all automated. So you got to know how to not only investigate, collect information, but you got to know how to enter the data into the field so you can generate proper police reports.
Mm-hmm.
It's not something you can learn in a couple of days.
With it, and the difference, yeah, and anybody that watches any lawyer dramas on television know that when it comes to crimes and prosecuting crimes, it is the testimony of the police officer, it is the quality of the evidence that they are able to gather and protect as it goes through this chain of custody until it's in the courts, and that's got to start with professionals and people that know what they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to do a transitional augmentation, but you got to pair him up with a seasoned kind of a field training officer who knows what he's doing, so he's willing to take the time to train people. You got to train them in how to respond, how to talk to people, how to take notes, how to investigate, and then you got to walk them through how to prepare a report.
Right.
And so it's going to be a mess.
So in the radio business, what will oftentimes happen is there will be a vacancy in one show or another, and somebody will say, well, take so-and-so off that show and fill the vacancy with that person. And what you've accomplished there is you've screwed two things up. Not just one. So we have now the vacancy in police work now because we've shut down the Agana precinct to the degree that they have now, taken those officers off the line and put them at the Department of Correction. We are augmenting those officers now with people that should be doing other things at the airport, at the port, in the park rangering business. And put them in a position where they may not be qualified to do the work of the people they're replacing.
Absolutely. Perfect analogy. Perfect analogy.
Oh, I try to deal with those kinds of things. You going to make it to the legislature today?
No.
Come on. To get that, Frank's got a reorganization bill going up.
Okay, I'll watch it on television. I got other things I got to do at home.
Yeah. All right. Well, I was going to say, give me a half a second here to get to the gist of your editorial this morning, because I was thinking about you as I was learning more about what I think is a mistake being made in the deployment of our public safety officers. I did notice that you were also writing today in the PDN about how we've got to find a way to get out from under all the histrionics and the drama in this crisis.
Yeah, it's like a big cockfight. Fortunately, nobody's got blades on. And when they finally settle down, they need to sit down. Okay, where are we? And let's find middle ground.
Mm-hmm.
I think our people deserve that, and that's all they want. I think just raising taxes without some cuts is just disastrous because you won't raise enough money. You create other problems.
Well, the guys at the Antelope sent, in fact, they sent on the video chat on Facebook, they sent up their FAQ, which says that, hey, we've already cut $30 million. And that's not going to get us out from under the $67 million. There's I guess we got to we're not going to stop doing government work, so we better give me my 50% increase in the gross receipts taxes.
Yeah, but none of this math equates to me because the Trump tax cut. When did it take effect? When was it? It wasn't the first quarter. It was second quarter.
Well, no. It seems to me that many of the I'm trying to remember what the numbers are that I got from my Treasury guys, but obviously there were some changes that they needed to make in the accounting systems and their reporting, and so the corporate tax cuts I think are in February. I think the first paychecks that went out with the changes would have been the last pay period in February. So I think they're going to start seeing those shortages moving through now. But we are coming out of March into April. April, there should be an influx of money. You remember this from the budget conversations when you were at the legislature, because everybody got to pay their taxes.
Yes. So you got an influx of money. And then the other thing is when we have more money in our pockets, what do we do with it? Very few people save.
No, I don't save. That's a gene that I was born without.
Yeah, but so I have a problem with the administration's math on all this, because what he closed the last fiscal year, which ended September 30, with a surplus. And how is it that you grow this deficit that quickly when you didn't feel the effect of the tax cut?
Well, and when I had the governor in the studio, he was talking about that, and I looked at Les. I said, "That's a paper deficit, right? I mean, that's a paper surplus, because this was the budget figure. This is how much money we spent. This is what we ended the fiscal year with. And if you got to remember that surplus was created by shorting departments and agencies under executive control. They did not get full allotments at the university. They did not get full allotments at the hospital or full allotments at GCC, if my memory serves.
Yeah. Well, I think I have a problem with the whole messaging. You follow when you tell me we got money, and then we're broke. I think they screwed up on their messaging.
No, all sides might be guilty of that from the perspective of us observers out here. Any predictions on where you think this is going to go? And I ask you specifically because I know you've been lurking in the government for a number of years, but you've also got time at the legislature. And this is not the first time we've seen crises like this emerge, get to a brink. At some point, a brink, and then magically somehow we're pulled back from the brink by some kind of legislative or fiscal fairy dust sprinkling. Where do you suppose we're going to find the fairy dust this time around?
Well, the fairy dust sprinkling in the past was there was always money somewhere that was hidden away, but I don't know that there's any secret stash of money left over anymore.
I don't know either, because nobody's got read-only access to the special fund accounts.
No, and that's the problem. I think the governor has to be more transparent. Maybe the AS400, maybe that should be online so we can all look at it.
Oh, the AS4, I don't think is capable of going online. That's the equivalent of a Motorola flip phone from 1985. Not even in 85. No, it's one of those big. You remember the MTX 800s? You remember the big brick radios that you used to hand out to the cops? That's what the AS400 is, as opposed to accounting systems and software that are more like the iPhone 10 that we don't have. So we might be able to. I don't think that you would be able to take it online. I think somebody would physically have to write down the numbers and then put that spreadsheet online.
Well, I would like for maybe the public auditor to do screenshots and show us different pages of it.
I don't know that she can see it either. I honestly don't. I think that's all in, as Vince Ariola said, in the purview of the governor. But this is why it makes my BS buzzer go off when we start talking about, well, we have to check with the lawyers and the legislature can't see it, or it's in the purview of the governor. As you say, we are in a need here for transparency, and if it means that we might have to temporarily attach funds that are in an otherwise special fund, not like anybody's ever respected that before, but if that's the case, then we'll borrow some money and we'll stick an IOU in, and when the going gets good again, then we'll pay back that IOU somehow or another, right? Like Congress pays back the Social Security. But
the difference is Uncle Sam can print money. We can't print any money.
No, that's a fact. But the other part of this is we don't know what those accounts are. We don't know how much to write that IOU for. So the conspiracy theorist in me, the investigator. Sorry, let me put it that way because you're a cop. The investigator in me is either they don't want us to see the numbers, or they literally legally can't give it to us, or they don't want us to see it because there's either not enough money in there or too much.
Well, that's why we're very, very suspicious. And we're not very trusting because transparency is lacking.
I hear that. All right. Well, as I said, any predictions on how this is going to end up? My prediction is we're not going to see anything happen until BJ gets back on the 15th, just because, leadership at the legislature, and he's been able to maintain a tight corral around some of the Democrats and, frankly, some of the Republicans, too.
Yeah, well, BJ's got a tremendous concept of the money. So he knows, I think he knows the balance system and where the accounts are for everything. And I think Teresa's doing a great job as acting speaker. Maybe he's getting her ready when he decides not to run again.
Well, he's decided that he's not going to run, and that's, I think, going to be a loss to the community. And, same way of when you decided that you weren't going to run, same way that Tom decided that he is not going to run. I'm a little distressed because I worry about, number one, some of the people that are getting left behind, and number two, some of the people that are going to sneak in now that the adult supervision is gone.
Okay. Well, I think it's a difficult place to work, and if you really want to make positive change, people get mad at you. Oh. And if you want to keep your job, you got to kiss everybody's hiney.
Well, that's one of the reasons why I think maybe we ought to go back to the old rural-style part-time legislature. But that's a fight for another day. Hey, I'm going to run. I'll talk to you pretty soon.
All right, thank you.
That's my pal, former Senator Frank Ishizaki, and guy knows a lot of things. Policeman. And so when we start talking about issues that affect public safety or that may affect public safety, he's one of the guys that I will regularly go to because I respect his opinion, and his opinion is the same as mine. I don't think that, number one, that we should have shut down the Agana precinct, and number two, I don't believe that those officers should have been dispatched to the Department of Corrections. If all they're going to do is chauffeur and clerk, and do things that, frankly, almost anybody else can do. I don't even think it would be a good idea to take these guys from park rangers and the port police and put them there. I think they're valuable where they need to be. If we're just talking about dudes that call G4S, get some of the guys off the bikes in Tumon and stick them over there.
Did you ever want to be a policeman?
Yes.
Yeah, I did too.
Do you know what stopped me? I remember the conversation distinctly. I was about 18 years old, and I was sitting in my father's office, and I said, we were talking about career opportunities, because at the time he didn't think I was going to make it in radio. But we were talking about some opportunities, and one of them was be a lineman, go work for Lee Holmes in the cable television place.
Okay.
And I actually applied for a job to be outside, and then I saw in the thing it says you have to work outside, and I said forget that, no. And I said, Bob, maybe I'll be a cop, and he says, son, you aren't good at remembering a lot of things. And at the time I wasn't. I was an irresponsible 18-year-old. And I would have made the worst cop ever. I would have been shot by my own guys. But he said maybe when you're a little bit older, a little bit more mature. Anyway, 9:24, and got Tom on the line. Good morning, Tom.
Good morning, sir.
Hey, I know you. How the hell are you?
Can you hear me okay?
I hear you just fine. Migo. Good to hear your voice.
Your voice is going to be going around in circles inside my hollow's call because I got my earphone on my right ear and my landline on my left ear.
Oh, yeah, and there's a little bit of delay from one to the other. Well, take out the radio piece, and then we'll just talk on the phone.
I'm gonna take out the earphones.
Yeah.
Anyway, don't think about taking the police officer on a scooter from Tumon and putting him up in the DOC. We need them down there to protect our tourists.
Oh, there's that.
The tourists were nothing here in Guam, That's our livelihood.
That's true.
Anyway, what I really called about is that most of our lawmakers down there are afraid to, and even a lot of our listeners are afraid of raising the business privilege tax because they know that the prices on the stores are going to go up automatically when that happens, if that happens, okay?
It will.
But people are forgetting that even if the prices go up at the stores, people will have a lot more money to spend anyway, so they're going to go to the store and buy that item that just went up in price because a lot of people every taxpayer here in Guam is going to have a lot less withholding taxes taken out of their paychecks. Therefore, they're going to have a lot more take-home money.
But if the prices go up, I won't be able to buy as much stuff, and that was the idea behind all of this, is that we would spur the economy and spending in the economy by putting more money into people's wallets. If we're putting more money into their pockets, but it's more money to chase after the same things, power and gasoline and cable television and cell phones and all of that, then there's no impact at all. It's not positive. It's not negative. It just didn't work. So it's just, not worth the exercise.
We gotta give it a chance, because it might just play out. They might balance each other. The take-home increase that the people have, and the amount of money that they might take every take-home that they have that went up. They might just take it right to the store and buy items. We'll get it back in the form of grocery sack.
Tom, I'm gonna shoot straight with you. I disagree, and I disagree because those are dollars. As I said, you're right. If the prices stay the same and people have more money, they will spend all of that money in the stores. But if the prices go up, I think there's probably going to be a tendency not to spend any additional dollars on any other luxuries or nice-to-haves because they still have to meet their regular requirements. And another point that I want to make on top of that is that the cost of everything is going up. Even at the same time these tax cuts are coming out on the withholding and the corporates, the costs are beginning to go up on things like electricity. We are seeing increases in the cost of gasoline at the pump. There's going to be some new tariffs that are going to be put in place over at the port that are going to have an impact. And the other thing, and Ken Leon Guerrero, I don't know if he's mentioned this in the variety of places that he calls around at, but I know that he's done it here. One of the other things that's going to happen is, while Trump has also done a tax cut in some places, there is also going to be cuts in government services and government funding of certain things that we do out here. That's the other shoe that's going to drop here soon, Tom. And I worry that between all of those things happening, it actually conspires against the consumer and not for the consumer.
If only we'll get a little help from our delegate in Washington. Why haven't they called us here and asked us what can they do on their side in Washington to help us with our financial breakdown that we're having here? We haven't heard anything from them yet. We want a progress report from our delegate. How far is he along in getting Congress to approve us to get the Social Security Administration to give us the EITC? Why is it that Guam is the only jurisdiction that is paying the unfunded mandate of the EITC from our general fund? The rest of the country is coming out of the Social Security Administration fund.
Yeah, I know that she and the governor had worked on some legislation, I don't know, late January, early February, that would try to address that, as well as compact impact cost to the community. And they have to do that by legislation. But whether we've got a congressperson or whether we have somebody working over in the governor's office in Washington, D.C., or whether we have a lobby, what becomes crystal clear sometimes is where it comes to those, and against the whole federal wall of expenses and costs, when it comes to those kinds of things, I don't think anybody in Congress or the White House even cares, even a tiny bit, about Guam or really any of the other territories. One of the things that I wanted to do today, and I don't think I'll have time to do it because, man, there's only a half hour left in the program, is the compare and contrast Guam and Puerto Rico.
Okay, I'll let you go, then you can do that. I'll go ahead and do that research.
Yeah. Well, it's
okay,
all right, Migo. It's nice to hear from you again. Don't be a stranger, right?
All right, okay.
Este amigo.
Okay, bye.
This is the Ray Gibson Show, and he was the guy called me up all the time when I was doing the other version of the program. It's a delight to have him here in the deal. Not to take too aggressive a stance, all right? But I look at Puerto Rico as the horrible warning to everybody around here. And there's one of the newspapers with stories And you don't even have to go there. You Googled it, right? But they've got problems with heroin. I don't care how big and bad our problems get to be here on Guam. I love our crisis. I love our problems. I would hug our problems if I could, because I can get my arms around them. In Puerto Rico, as a result of that storm that went through there, they were already in a hurting position. I think they've got a lousy, corrupt government out there, number one, and then the hurricane comes, and then it knocked out electricity everywhere. And I'm told there was a Fox News story the other day where they were talking about how they're pretty soon not going to be able to provide water to another half of the island.
Yeah, they got wiped out by that storm, and it really bared the gist of the problems that exist there in Puerto Rico, especially in terms of their infrastructure.
Right?
They just weren't ready for it. And there are, 4 or 5 million people living on an island, and a whole lot more people that are, at risk.
There's a picture I saw of people getting water. And so we always joke at the end of our, hurricanes or our typhoons here that, oh my God, we have to live like cavemen, bucket flushing. And, we've gotten to a point where if we've got a bucket flush for any more than 3 or 4 days, all hell breaks loose in the village. Send the trucks out there. My God, don't you care about the people? They are now, and I saw a picture of it this morning, and one of the things, there's people that go find this little leaky pipe out somewhere and stick a bucket underneath it, and that ain't for flushing. That might be all of the water that they're going to get to wash their face or make rice or do whatever it is that they got to do there. This is a territory in the United States of America, and if they're not jumping over themselves in Washington, D.C. to go and fix those problems with them, what makes you think they're going to be jumping through any hoops to deal with us?
Yeah, I don't know that proximity should have anything to do with it, but they're kind of close to the mainland, too, so they're supposed to.
There is the great out-migration from Puerto Rico. People are going to take their American citizenship and get on the airplane and find themselves residents, maybe even as far away as Guam, USA. It's 9:32. Going to get to the callers in a second. You can line up as well, 888-8255. But in the meantime, iConnect time in the studios of the radio station. It's 9:33 in the morning. iConnect wants you to connect longer for less with their push-to-talk mobile and internet plans.
Family Finance has been serving the people of Guam since 1959, and they'll continue to be there for you in the years to come. Whether you're looking to get a personal loan for that summer vacation or paying off those long overdue bills, Family Finance has got you covered. Apply for a personal loan from $1,000 up to $3,500 by calling Family Finance in Hagåtña at 475-4545, Upper Tuon 647-5626, or in Dededo 633-4473. Family Finance has been serving the people of Guam since 1959.
Triple J says yes. Zero down? Yes. 1.9% financing? Yes. Easy trade-in? Yes. No payments for 90 days? Yes. We'll have you saying yes, too, to these amazing deals. Like our big boy truck, the Ford F-150 at only $217 per paycheck. Or the top safety pick Mazda CX-5 Sport at only $194 per paycheck. Or turn heads in the Mazda 3 Sport or the sleek and sophisticated Kia Soul. Both for only $129 per paycheck. Visit us online at triplejguam.com. Some conditions apply. See dealer for details. Triple J, customers first.
Rain. It's nature's way of cleansing the earth. Yet by the time that rainwater makes its way to your home, it may not be exactly the same as nature created it. A Connecticut water treatment system can improve the quality of the water you and your family drink and use throughout your home, so you can be sure your water is clear, clean, and fresh, just as nature intended it to be. Connecticut, for refreshing ideas on water.
American Water Tech. Smarter water, better water. Call American Water Tech, 649-2301, or email info@americanwatertech.com.
This KFC chicken is great. Shrimp. Hey, who are you calling shrimp? KFC's new shrimp burger. It's great.
Howdy, folks. KFC's Colonel Sanders here. Try our new shrimp burger and all our seafood items available this season. KFC Food Keliquin, breaded shrimp, seafood salad, and of course, we can't forget your one and only favorite KFC original recipe chicken.
All right. I need to try KFC's new shrimp burger. Good, because you really are a shrimp. Hey, a 5-7.
KFC, it's finger-licking good.
Don't look at me, Mommy. I'm breakdancing. Hi, welcome to the Raymond Gibson Show. Is this Jack?
Raymond.
Hey, Jack.
Yeah, I just got off work and going to go pay for some bills, and I heard you talking about Department of Corrections and the police department.
I was ranting.
Yeah, no, I was wondering, I wanted to ask this question a while back, and, it just escaped my mind, and I wanted to ask Bob Kliske about this question because he once headed the DOC. I told you before that I lived in California for over 10 years, and it was my young 20s. So usually you surround yourself with people of the same likes and same desires and same wants, and I'm friends with 4 good friends that I roomed with and still best buddies up to now.
Ride or die.
One of them has passed away, but when we reach that age of 25, because when you're living in California, if you're in your early 20s, there's no such thing as enough money for anything. So, we take these pieceworks on the weekends. Well, we reach that age where what are you going to do with your life? Is this all you're going to do? And so one of them decided to join the sheriff's department. And so, he started out as a reserve, and then once he was admitted into the program, one of its requirements was to serve at the detention center for 1 year. I think the detention center is equivalent to our DOC. And the rationale behind that is to give the new cadets, a glimpse of, what a drug user looks like, what a thief, the behaviors of criminal activity. One of them is because you can't learn this stuff on the field. I mean, you can at a high risk, but one of them is to introduce them to the environment of, what criminal behavior is, how to, recognize it, tattoos, certain behaviors. And they would have to serve at the detention center for, I think, 1 year before they're even, thrown or put into the field where they're behind the desk. And I was wondering why our Department of Corrections and our police cadets aren't integrated that way. Why isn't a police cadet required to serve at the Department of Corrections for at least 1 year or 2 years, just for them to, recognize?
I don't know. Well, it's an interesting idea. It's might be worth when the guys at Standards and Uniform Practices get together as they do.
Well, no, the reason why I asked, it also cuts down on cost, right? I mean, here you are, you're having a cadet working up there at DOC, and I don't know why, but that's how my roommate explained it to me. So
couldn't we just do this with the Green Mile and Shawshank Redemption? Couldn't we just watch this a couple of times and take some notes? And
I think the Shawshank Redemption, wasn't that? Didn't they close that prison down?
I don't know. I think it's a fictional prison.
You want to follow? I think they. But anyways, I was just wondering why that isn't the case, because actually it saves a lot of money on training.
Yeah, I don't know. You'd have to go find the really old guys that were in charge back in the 50s when they built the prison system and the police departments here. The old original DPS, Department of Public Safety guys, not GPD, not fire department, old DPS guys that might still remember.
But Bob Kliske was one of those old guys. He headed the DOC.
Oh, he's still an old guy. Oh, hands down. Hands down, that's an old guy. But I don't know that he was there in the absolute beginning of everything. I mean, I know my dad's listening, but even he got here in the middle of the 1950s, and I mean, back in those days, police department around here run by guys that fought the Japanese with the Americans at the end of the Second World War and went from one to the other. So it's possible. We build up our public safety system in a kind of needs-must capacity. So as we were growing, we need guys that can issue tickets and look for bad guys.
Yeah, I disagree with that, because at one time they tried to institute a highway police department here. It was
GIPS. Oh God, yeah, the Guam Highway Patrol.
Yeah, their only job was to wear those funny-looking brim hats and give out tickets. So I don't think that's the case here. I think when you're thinking about, I mean, when you're supposed to be focusing on right-sizing this government, You want to see, what can be integrated, what's the best course of action for producing the best personnel for things. And I think one of the nursing department has done a great job here in doing those things, doing like, we call it OJT.
Well, of course.
I mean, if you want to, if nursing is your field, I mean, I think one of the best places to come here, to do it is here in Guam because of all the stuff that you get on-hands training that you won't be allowed to do in other places.
Well, and listen, and to underscore that point, anywhere where nurses from Guam Memorial Hospital have gone, they have excelled because they know how to work under duress and stress situations. We've seen the same thing said about our police officers that, for whatever reason, have found themselves working in other departments across the country. They say, you guys from Guam have got really, really good skills, maybe better than the average cop, because of the, the situation that they have come up in. I tell you what, when next time I get Bob on the line, I'll ask him about that. I'm going to run. I'll talk to you.
All right. Okay. Have a good day.
I will. You the man. It's Jack on the line. And I mentioned Ken Leon Guerrero's name, not because I was trying to bait him to call in. I'm glad he's on the line and say good morning to you. Hey, Ken, how you doing?
I am doing fine. I heard you talking about doing a comparison of Puerto Rico, and I couldn't resist. I had to jump in.
Well, yeah, I appreciate that. But among the points that I wanted to make was with Tom was that we have got a number of crises with us now. And I noted your prediction, if you will, your premonition, your forethought of what is coming next. We've got the regular, issues with spend in the government of Guam, living like the Kardashians. Let's have some more fest packs. Number one. Number two, we've got the Trump tax cuts, but we also need to prepare for the day that is coming where they say we're not giving education this much money. We're not sending this much money to Health and Human Services. We're not going to be doing this with Medicaid. There are going to be some probably big cuts in some of these entitlement and federal programs that we better start figuring out how we're going to deal with now, because $67 million worth of a deficit could very easily balloon to $130 million.
Yeah, when Trump was first elected, all the department heads were predicting somewhere between $87 and $100 million just on the budget cuts. They weren't even talking taxes back then. They were just looking at the budget cuts that the Trump transition team was talking about at the time.
Yeah.
Well, now their budget director is saying that we have increased our target number. We were looking originally from 30 to 35% budget cuts across the average budget cuts for the budget. Now, as a result of the tax cut going through, we're looking at about 40 to 45%.
Mike, did you want to add to that?
Yeah, the mayor's met with the governor yesterday about the carnival. Oh, you can imagine how that conversation went.
Yeah. So what we're looking at now is with the federal pie about to shrink, and we get about 1/3 of our funding for government in Guam from federal programs and federal subsidies. What happens if that shrinks 40%? Well, we're looking at another 80 to 120 million. Now, what are they going to do at that point in time? Propose raising...
So raise the GRT another 50%.
Yeah.
But
They're running out of options, and they keep avoiding doing the thing that they should have been doing starting in 2014 when they had that $60 million overrun, And
coulda, woulda, shoulda.
Legislature to testify on Bill 247, and hopefully that bill will pass, and cooler heads will prevail, and we'll finally start doing the things we need to do, not just to offset the loss of the tax cuts, but to prepare for the future loss of the budget cuts. And I hate to say it, there's a third shoe going to drop probably in the next year, and that is the economic collapse in economies in Asia. Because when you look at Korea, Japan, Taiwan, and China, the big four, their economies are running into the same problem that we're running into. In other words, their deficits are exploding, their tax base and revenue collections are eroding, exports are declining, and now Trump wants to get into a trade war. So anything that we do on our side of the pond, and I'm talking about the U.S. side of the pond, is going to have collateral effects on the east side of the pond, which is Asia. I mean, the west side of the pond, which is Asia, and we're in the middle.
Going to be an interesting spot. I'm looking at something. I shouldn't do this. Well, yeah, I know somebody's writing in and saying that what you're talking about is stuff that should have been done back in 2014. And you're not the only guy that says that. 2014, I think Carl Gutierrez, according to at least one writer this morning, has told the Rotary Club that in a debate. And if I remember correctly, I think I was the host of the debate. Come to think of it, and everybody said that everybody was being overly dramatic, but some people have got that second sight skill.
Yeah. Well, the whole point is, if you watch the signs, big changes don't happen suddenly. They happen one little change at a time. And we've seen all these changes coming, but our political leaders took the easy way out rather than take the right way out. And now we're running to a point where the politicians are surrounded by bad choices. They don't have any good choices. So it's going to make for an interesting election.
Well, can you imagine how much more conversation is going to come out of this, because it's only March number 7. We haven't even gotten to the point where people have to start right now turning in their paperwork to the Guam Election Commission. I can think of a couple of guys that maybe have got their logos out, and that's it. Maybe they bought some stickers. But yeah, I think this is going to heat up and turn into a great battle royale. It will be interesting to see if all 4 of the teams that are running for the Democratic position stay in there now. I would, if I was advising Dennis Rodriguez, I would say that his ability to get amendments passed over at the legislature might be a clear sign that he is showing some real destabilization forces in what he wants for his bid for governor's office. I would take those as early signs, because jumping after the banks and the insurance guys, that's a non-starter to begin with, and he won't let go. So it would not surprise me if he dropped out between here and there.
Well, a lot of people misunderstand Darwin's law. People think it was the survival of the fittest, but it wasn't. Darwin's law is the species that evolves the fastest will survive. And that's what we're going to be looking at when I'm going to try to pump as much hydrogen into the fires of these campaigns as I can. And what we're going to be looking at is evolvement among our candidates, because, the people I talk to, family connections and what was in the past doesn't cut it anymore, because they're looking at their children leaving the island. And there's a new trend developing. I'm running into seniors who are taking advantage of the spike in real estate prices, and they're selling their homes and moving to the mainland where they can find a lower cost of living.
Except for the fact that I got a pretty good gig at a radio station, the thought crosses my mind every once in a while. There was a time where the house right next to my dad's plot in Kilkenny Hill Road. Right. I looked at that place, and it is amazing. This is you talk about cost of living, things like that. This is North Carolina, one of the fastest growing places in the U.S. mainland. The problem they get there is their local government is just far too liberal. But anyway, the great place, and they've got the house next door to Pop's place is easily double the size of my house. Double the size. Mm-hmm. The lot that it's on is about 3 times the size of the lot that I am on. And when I inquired after what maybe this house might be going for, it came in at just under $200,000. Right? Yeah. And there's hospitals everywhere there. And there's really good schools within walking distance of everything. And there's a Piggly Wiggly and craft beer bars down the street. And, it's North Carolina. I think you can still buy cheap tobacco there. I think you can still buy cheap smokes there.
I got a story that's similar to yours. A friend of mine went back to visit relatives in the mainland and stuff like that, and was gobsmacked when they looked at the prices of groceries and things in this area. And we're talking outside of Sacramento, which is not a cheap area.
No.
So I used to live in that area, so I know what the prices are like. And he was just floored looking at the prices of food and everything. He came back here, sat down with his family. They made a decision as a family because they own some rather valuable real estate. They're putting it on the market. And as a family, they're going to move to Northern California near Chico. And what he was showing me was this house, 4-bedroom, 3-car with an RV garage attached, and a mother-in-law's quarters above the RV garage on 3 acres of land, $135,000.
In California.
Northern Cal.
Yeah. I know some people up there. No, see, now we got to stop. I cannot, in the interest of the public interest, continue this conversation because the people will stop calling me at 888-8255 and call the travel agent and call the airlines and go see what they can do. Hey, if you're going to be doing some shipping, I'm thinking APL. Those guys are sponsors, so talk to them about maybe moving some of your personal goods if it comes to bullets. Kenny, I'm going to let you run. Are you going to go to the public hearing?
I'm here now.
Oh, well, tell Klitsky I said hello, and tell him that Jack wanted to know why we don't have guys going from into the Department of Corrections before they are entitled to give the keys to a squad car, okay?
Okay, I will tell him.
Appreciate it. There's a little community that we have here at the radio station. I think that's valuable and important. It's 9:52 in the program, and let me take this last break. I'll come up and I'll finish up the show and let you know what will be coming up today and tomorrow that will be vital to your public interests.
Wendy's welcomes the new Smoky Mushroom Bacon Cheeseburger, featuring smoky, sautéed portobello mushrooms, melted Asiago cheese, crispy applewood smoked bacon, and crunchy fried onions atop a juicy beef patty. For those craving the same great taste, Wendy's Smoky Mushroom Bacon Potato is also loaded with sautéed portobello mushrooms, cheddar cheese sauce, and crispy applewood smoked bacon. Here, for a limited time, get a delicious Smoky Mushroom Bacon Cheeseburger and Smoky Mushroom Bacon Potato today. Wendy's. Now that's better.
At Micronesia Renewable Energy, values matter. So all of their solar energy systems come with guarantees and the most value. No shortcuts, all quality. It's giving you that solar energy system at the best price. It's using highly efficient solar panels with typhoon-proven racking, built by highly skilled local technicians, so your system performs and saves you money. It's total peace of mind all the time. Not all solar companies are created equal. For experienced quality solar, it's MRE. Call 632-2613. MRE, the smarter choice.
For over 55 years, Community First has served our island as a full-service financial institution. And now, we're proud to introduce the new Community First Student-Run Credit Union, open in Manila on Route 10. Guam's first student-run financial institution, which means it's operated by college students like us, ready to serve all our members, existing and new. We're just down the road from UOG and GCC. Community First Guam Federal Credit Union, now open in Manila. This credit union is federally insured by NCUA. Chili's has the seafood you crave, the flavors you love, at a great price with our 3 for Me Lent menu. For just $15, you can get a beverage, fresh salad, and a Lent-friendly entree. First, choose from a refreshing Coca-Cola, iced tea, or Heineken on draft. Then enjoy a fresh house salad right before you indulge in your choice of a mouth-watering entree, like our spicy shrimp tacos, savory Cajun pasta with shrimp, or our flavorful grilled ancho salmon. Chili's 3 for Me Lent menu for just $15. Available for a limited time. Chili's. More life happens here.
Oh, I'm going to save that line. Lynn Polino writes in this morning. It says, Ray, I totally agree with you about using officers to babysit at DOC. Anyone else can do that. Your rant is my rant, too. Thank you so much. I love that line. Your rant is my rant, too.
We got to hashtag that.
I know. Another question from somebody, same topic. Has anybody asked the fire department to follow the AAA process to increase the fees? Do it in October when the chief first found out that they were going to be short funds. Now, I don't know that they were looking at it there. And Carl is listening. Not that one, the other one. He says, good morning, Ray. I've been listening on the radio and now on Facebook Live. It's great to have you back on the air. Keep stirring the community pot. Hey, it's our pot. It's our pot, and we all have a stake in what goes on. I've been mentioning and about different places where we might be able to save some scratch. It's not going to get us near $100 million to clear up this deficit and whatever looms in the future. Hey, but it's something, right? You know, Commission on Decolonization. Let's mothball that for a little bit. It is already kind of de facto in mothballs. There was supposed to be a meeting, what, yesterday?
Yesterday, and they didn't. They canceled the meeting due to a lack of quorum.
So,
that's not the first time
right?
since I've been here that that's happened. So,
and so if we can't even get the guys to roll in there on a regular basis and at least talk about setting up the next meeting, and when is that going to be? And think about decolonization in this town. Boy, there's a conversation that has gone on for a long time. Anything happen with it? No.
Who funds that?
You and me when we were taxpayer guys.
Oh, see, yeah. I don't know, man.
I think there might be a little bit of a federal kiss in there. I think there might be something from the Fed. They were supposed to get educational money from the Fed, and I know years ago they did, and I think we blew it on a bunch of celebrity DJ ads.
Ah, well, hey, that's cool.
I was not a part of that.
Yeah,
because not the right last name. Oh, as you can imagine, the mayors met with the governor about the carnival. There's another conversation that's not going to go anywhere. I told them I would try to work with them and be agreeable to a situation to the carnival, but I said, hey, right now it would be like rearranging the deck chairs in the Titanic. We could fix something here and there, but we'd have this still have this major fiscal crisis. So we're on the same page on this one. Mm-hmm. The conversation about the carnival may need to be totally backburnered or privatized at this point, because I honestly don't know that there is the manpower to be able to get it done and get it done for nothing. In the past, significant costs associated with the liberation festivities in this town have been covered by casino gambling. They build a casino. It's still there. They still got it. In fact, recently somebody's gone through the place and done what looks like a little bit of house cleaning. It still looks like a ghetto, still looks like a slum, but at least I appreciate somebody trying to get the place looking a little bit better. But long and short here on that is if there is no casino, then it makes it that much more likely that our liberation festivities are going to be a losing proposition for us here. And maybe, maybe that's part of the tough love that we got to have. Guess what, kids? We're not going to Disneyland this year. I'm sorry. We've got too many other expenses that are eating into the budget. And I don't know what the job is going to be like later on. And the smart move here is to try to save money in the beginning so that we don't have to make such painful cuts or talk about such painful cuts in the future. Is it already 10 o'clock in the morning? It's darn close to it. As I said, I want to let you know what's going to be happening here. This is the Point radio station, and we don't go off the air at 10. At 10 o'clock, we got Brian Kilmeade, and then after that's going to be Rush Limbaugh. Sean Hannity gets on the radio after that. For those of you that need some guidance on your finances, yes, governments included, we've got a guy named Dave Ramsey. And he's, among the top 5. Used to be, there was a time he was like the #1 talk radio guy in the country because of this special kind of truth that he is able to spread to a lot of people about getting in control of their personal finances. If, on the other hand, you want to take control of your finances by being a Bitcoin kind of libertarian kind of guy, what is the name of that show that we run at night? I'm not going to remember. We run all 3 hours of it because it's one of those shows they really nail in on Bitcoin, and people have told me that they'd hate me for life. I would be dead to them if I took it off the air. So I kept it on. It's one of those shows that runs just before Coast to Coast. That's coming up tomorrow morning. I'm not going to be in the studio. In fact, might have Kevin and I just hanging out over at the industry forum starting early in the morning. We will attempt to do a live broadcast from there. If it works, awesome. If it doesn't, I'm driving up the hill real fast and going to hang out with Mike here. This is KUSG Agania. The radio station is called The Point. Thanks for listening.
Another White House vacancy. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. President Trump loses his top economic advisor.
The head of the National Economic Council, Gary Cohn, who's been the president